Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Hokage. My ninjutsu effects are maxed out. Chapter 81. Lumu waited anxiously, waiting for Katsuyu Sage to come out reliably this time. After all, there are so many people waiting for Katsuyu Sennin to treat him. At this moment, the light beam lit up again. Lumu quickly moved his gaze away. But when he saw the figure in the beam, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. In a sense, Katsuyu Sennin is indeed big. Judging from the body shape alone, it is several times larger than before. From the little Lolita at the beginning, she has turned into a royal lady now. Are you afraid of loving me? Katsuyu Sage passed his fingers across his lips and looked at Lumu with a charming look on his face. Lumu almost spit out a mouthful of blood. I must have learned this earthy love story from Conan. And you, the mighty Katsuyu Sage, who has lived for thousands of years, actually understand this. And you have never been out of Shigu Forest. Who did you learn this from? Seeing Luemu's dumbfounded look, Master Katsuyu couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. Heart Chunin can't help but like Toad Sage. Sure enough, it was a divine book. When I get back, I must go and make an update. However, I heard that the author was admitted to the hospital, but is this hard to do for me? Katsuyu Sage thought, and then walked towards Lumu with cat steps. There was a sense of confidence in his eyes. As long as you continue, you can seize the future in an instant. Lumu quickly shook his head to keep himself calm. You must know that Katsuyu Immortal is just a slug, and I don't want to become Shu Xianning's successor. Thinking of that scene, Lumu couldn't help but tremble all over. Stop. The reason I asked you to grow bigger is to heal these injured people, not to grow bigger. Lumu rolled his eyes and said. Katsuyu Sennin was stunned for a moment. All eyes were on Lumu just now, but now he immediately saw the people wailing on the ground. That compassionate heart became hot again. At this time Katsuyu Sennin couldn't help but slap himself. There are so many injured people lying on the ground, but I only know how to please Lumu. Do I still deserve to be called an immortal? On the contrary, it was Lumu. When he saw someone injured, he immediately channeled himself. What a great and selfless love. But at this moment Katsuyu Sage felt relieved. At first, he only wanted to please Lumu to prevent Lumu from destroying the world. But now it seems that I am completely worrying too much. How could a god who could feel the suffering of civilians destroy the world? For a time, Katsuyu Sennin felt that the grudge between him and Lumu had completely disappeared. To be able to become the subordinate of a loving and selfless god like Lumu. It's completely my honor. As for the book given by Toad Sage, Katsuyu Sennin plans to go back and read it a few times. Don't miss out on every detail. Master, don't worry, this is my strongest state, it's enough to treat these wounded. Katsuyu Sage said, clasping his hands together, then closing his eyes and meditating. For a time, Katsuyu Sage secreted countless green liquids. The liquid flows out slowly. Anyone who comes into contact with the liquid will have their wounds healed quickly at a speed visible to the naked eye. The people who were originally wailing in pain also returned to normal. They all looked at Lumu gratefully. Kowtowed again. The envoy of God is guarding us from behind and supporting us. What else do we have to fear? Right, catch Godachibana Yagura. For a moment, everyone seemed to be in a state of shock. They all rushed towards Guju Yagura desperately. The ninjas who were still dodging completely let go. After all, there is a nanny at the back with unlimited health recovery, so what else is there to worry about? Goju Yagura, who was already very reluctant, is now even more beaten and defeated. The three tails were cut off again and again. If it weren't for the protection of the orange chakra, he might have fallen. But at this moment, a thick fog floated over, completely enveloping the dazed Goju Yagura in it. It is Terumi Mei's art of mist. I saw that the orange-red chakra was constantly being corroded, but after only persisting for a few seconds, Kodachi Yagura was forced to exit the tailed beast transformation. If Terumi Mei hadn't stopped in time, I am afraid that even Goju Yagura will be completely corroded. For a moment, everyone in Kurigakure village cheered. The fall of Goju Yagura also represents the end of the era of blood and mist in Kurigakure village. Terumi Mei ran towards Lumu with a face full of joy. But when he saw the woman next to Lumu, he couldn't help but frown. I feel like my most precious thing has been taken away from me. Who is she? Katsuyu Sennin turned his head in confusion. Although Katsuyu Sage is famous for being gentle and kind-hearted, he always feels inexplicably unhappy when being pointed at. To know, although there are not many people who can go to Shigu Forest, no matter who goes in, they have to be respectful. No one dares to point at themselves like Terumi Mei. But soon Katsuyu's eyes lit up. I have seen this kind of plot in that sacred book, and I originally wanted to split it up and play 2 roles. I didn't expect to meet the second female lead. Immediately, Katsuyu Sage quickly took out the sacred book and walked towards Terumi Mei. While walking, I was still looking for the plot. He saw Katsuyu Sage walking towards him. Terumi Mei suddenly panicked. Because of the confident smile on Katsuyu Sage's face, the look in his eyes as pure as water, and the aura that only a superior person can have. All of them prove the status of Katsuyu Sage. He was completely crushed. Moreover, Katsuyu Sennin's graceful figure and the weight in front of him immediately made Terumi Mei feel inferior. What do you want to do? Terumi Mei's arm was grabbed by Katsuyu Sage. Terumi Mei tried to break free, but no matter how hard she struggled, it was of no use. Especially in the moment of capture. Feeling the special chakra of Katsuyu Sage, it seems to be closer to nature and more advanced. Terumi Mei was even more panicked. Are you afraid that you have met the real palace? Your legs will not be broken, right? Just when Terumi Mei was thinking wildly, suddenly I found a book in front of me, and Katsuyu Sage's clean smile. Come and take a look at this. Terumi Mei's heart was beating with gongs and drums, and her face became even more confused. But he still subconsciously took the book. But when she saw the content in the book, Terumi Mei's face suddenly turned red to the root of her neck. This book doesn't match your innocent face at all. And why are you looking so expectant? Could it be that you want to? Terumi Mei began to doubt her life. It was clear that Katsuyu Sage looked so pure, like a piece of white paper. As a result, the paper was turned over and it was covered in banana color. I secretly decided in my heart that I can no longer judge people by their appearance. Then Terumi Mei hurriedly closed the book, and then looked at Katsuyu Sage with serious eyes. Now there is one thing that Terumi Mei must confirm. Otherwise, you will never sleep well. What is the relationship between you and Lumu? Slave relationship, he is my master. Katsuyu Sage said without hesitation. Terumi Mei, who had given up completely, felt like the sun was shining brightly again. Aren't slaves just like me? There is absolutely no distinction between the two. Then Terumi Mei hooked Katsuyu Sage's neck with a wicked smile on her face. I'm very interested in what you just showed me, but there are too many people here. Let's go to the side to study it. Katsuyu Sage's face showed joy. There are still many things that Katsuyu Sage cannot understand about this sacred book, like some proper nouns that Katsuyu Sage cannot understand no matter how much he thinks about it. Now I can communicate with Terumi Mei. You can also increase your knowledge, so why not? Good. Lumu watched the 2 goddesses run into the house mysteriously, with a puzzled look on his face. But now Lumu has no time to care about the 2 of them. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for completing the task. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10% arousal, now the arousal is 80%. Congratulations to host for receiving the mysterious reward, Special Effects version 2.0. Special Effects version 2.0, you can get special effects when you cast ninjutsu. The 4D special effects state not only shocks others visually, but also gives others a more extreme enjoyment from the senses. P.S. The damage effect of ninjutsu remains unchanged, and the special effects come with a certain amount damage, but the total damage will not exceed the ninjutsu body. Lumu's mouth twitched. This system prepares you to go all the way to the end on the road of special effects. The upgraded special effects are even more awesome than before. The initial special effects were just a visual impact. After receiving the reward, a touch of sensory impact was added. But now the special effects have been completely upgraded. Completely evolved into Special Effects 2.0. Then the next step will not only be a visual impact, but also give people an immersive feeling. The Great Fireball technique is so accurate that fireballs will fall down. When the water explodes, a tsunami will really come down. Harem surgery really happens, but it's actually still illusory, and it can be regarded as the most advanced genjutsu. It seems I have to find a chance to try it. Goji Yagura woke up at this time. But I couldn't feel any sign of chakra flowing on my body. It was obvious that my body was sealed. Goji Yagura could only smile bitterly. From the moment he punished the family, he thought of this scene happening. But I didn't expect that it would come so quickly. Standing not far away was Lumu, who had plunged Goji Yagura into a nightmare. And a group of angry Kurigakure village ninjas. Succeed as king and lose as bandit, there is nothing to say, just kill me. Goji Yagura knew that there was no possibility of survival, so she closed her eyes and prepared to wait quietly for death. Do you think this is what you really think? Lumu said calmly. These words made Goju Yagura tremble. When I first became the fourth Mizukage, I just wanted to suppress the family's arrogance a little. But since the Third War, his memory seems to be missing, and he has become more bloodthirsty. Especially when dealing with a family that he usually hates, he is even more merciless. As a result, the Minazuki clan and the Toru Yoruichi clan completely withdrew from the stage of history. Even Godachibana Yagura is afraid of how he looks. But there was an idea in my mind that kept me going. As if being manipulated, suddenly, Goju Yagura trembled all over again, and finally understood what Lumu meant. This is reminding me, have I always been controlled by others? Thinking of this, Goju Yagura became more and more scared as he thought about it, and when he recalled what he had done before, he felt more and more regretful. Then Goju Yagura knelt down in front of Lumu. 2 lines of clear tears slowly flowed down, and a pair of eyes stared at Lumu. Master God, it's easy to kill me, but I want to give myself a chance to make amends. I don't have to do Mizukage, but you must give me a chance to compensate the Kingdom of Water. Goju Yagura said sincerely, which moved everyone around him. However, compared to Goju Yagura's rescue, everyone is more afraid of his revenge. After all, Goju Yagura has cage-level strength. And it is also a perfect Jinchuriki, which can perfectly control the tailed beast transformation. The strength cannot be underestimated. If you really want to break the seal, it will definitely not be an easy thing to catch him. But no one spoke. Instead, he quietly waited for Luemu's decision. Under the leadership of Lumu, Wuyin village was completely freed from the blood mist. Coupled with the identity of the divine envoy. At this time, Luemu's reputation even surpassed that of first Mizukage. No matter what the decision is, everyone is ready to implement it resolutely. I'll give you this opportunity, but you can't stay in the Kingdom of Water any longer. Follow me back to the Akatsuki organization. Hear Luemu's answer. A look of ecstasy appeared on Goju Yagura's face. It's not that he's happy because he's alive, but that Lumu gave him a chance to change his ways. And Godachibana Yagura also wants to know. Whoever cast Genjutsu on him completely changed his thinking logic, turning the entire Kurigakure village into a Shura hell. If Goju Yagura discovers that person, he will definitely be cut into pieces. Thank you, Lord Envoy. After Goju Yagura finished speaking, the 2 men came out and knelt down on one knee. One of them is the honest man Gansaki Kisame. One of them is Zabuza Momochi, whose whole body is covered with bandages. The 2 of them looked at Lumu with burning eyes and said in unison, "Please, Lord Envoy, please take us away too." Lumu looked at the 2 of them in surprise. Unexpectedly, the darkest era of the Kingdom of Water has passed, but these 2 people are still willing to follow him. But now that the 2 of them have spoken, Lumu will naturally not refuse. After all, Inokaki Kisame was going to betray the water country and join the Akatsuki organization. As for Momochi Zabuza, he will also leave the Kingdom of Water and become a wandering ninja. Taking them to Akatsuki organization can also be regarded as talent introduction. Okay, you 2 follow me. After hearing Luemu's words, everyone became excited. Being able to follow the divine messenger Lumu is definitely a very honorable thing. Now it looks like Kisame and Momochi Zabuza have succeeded. Several ninjas who were confident in their own strength knelt down one after another. Please, Lord Angel, take us away. Luemu's mouth twitched. This is not a talent introduction. It is simply merging the entire Water Kingdom into the Akatsuki organization. If this group of ninjas left, Kurigakure village will completely become a third-rate ninja village and will be annexed by other countries. Just stay and help your new shadow. Hearing Luemu's rejection, everyone had disappointed expressions on their faces. But after thinking about it for a while, I felt relieved. After all, not everyone can be around a divine envoy. But now that the fourth Mizukage, Go Tachibana Yagura, is gone, the position of Kage is now vacant. If you don't choose carefully, you might end up in the next blood mist. So everyone turned their attention to Lumu again. Ask the god envoy to help choose the fifth Mizukage. Lumu was always looking for suitable candidates. At this moment, I saw Terumime and Katsuyu Senin walking out arm in arm. Then Luemu's eyes lit up and he pointed directly at Terumime. Next generation Mizukage Terumime. Terumime looked at everything around her inexplicably. Why did he become a movie all of a sudden? Shouldn't fifth Mizukage be Lumu? And after becoming Mizukage, I will definitely be busy to death. Especially now that the Kingdom of Water is full of waste and waiting for development, it will definitely be busier than usual. This will definitely affect my next honeymoon trip. All the knowledge I just learned in books was in vain. Master, did you refer to the wrong person? I will always be with you, Terumime said almost coquettishly, trying to change Luemu's mind. No, this is fate. You must be the fifth Mizukage. Just kidding, in the Hokage ninja plot, Terumime became fifth Mizukage, and finally led the Kingdom of Water to participate in the 4 battles. How could it be possible to just change it? And when Terumime and Katsuyu Senin came out, Lumu felt a sense of crisis sweeping through his body. If you let Terumime follow you, I will definitely be like Hatake Kakashi, put 2 ninjutsu and stand next to the wall with my back resting. Terumime is about to cry. There is no need to talk about destiny and God's will. No matter how much I resist, I have to do this Mizukage. It's just a matter of rushing the ducks to the shelves. Terumime took a deep breath, and then her eyes became firm. Since you can't avoid it, you can only accept it. But the rehearsal just now cannot be in vain. Master, I can do Mizukage, but I have a request. I hope you can satisfy me, otherwise I will never agree. Lumu was stunned for a moment, never expecting that Terumime would be so determined. Countless pairs of eyes are looking at me now. If Terumime refuses, it will be a slap in the face. You say, I hope you can enjoy it alone, the program that Katsuyu and I have prepared for you. After you enjoy it, I will agree to do Mizukage, Terumime said ninjily. That's it. Lumu originally thought it would be an excessive request. But I didn't expect it to be so simple. It's just watching a program, it can take at most half an hour. It's easier than some weird requests. But at this moment, Lumu saw Katsuyu Sage holding a book. The cover of the book has a familiar feel to it. Ding. Luemu's mouth twitched. The book in the hands of Katsuyu Sage is not the same book that Hatake Kakashi uses all year round to return blue. Katsuyu Senin is a dignified sage. Actually read this kind of book. And as a slug, does Katsuyu Senin understand the content? At this moment Lumu trembled all over. Then he quickly looked at Terumime. Could the performance you're talking about have something to do with this book? Terumime took the book without changing her expression, then hid it and looked at Lumu seriously. Yes, it is related to this book. This book is written by many famous masters and is very popular in the Kingdom of Water. It talks about how much the people of the Kingdom of Water respect the gods and are willing to sacrifice everything for the gods. And what Katsuyu and I are going to perform is a dance used by the Kingdom of Water to worship the gods. Terumime said without blushing or heart beating. Everyone in the Kingdom of Water nodded. Yes, Lord God Envoy, this is a gift from our Kingdom of Water to you and the Lord God behind you. Please accept it. Our folk customs in the land of water are simple and simple. We don't know anything else, so we can only ask Terumime to present this dance. Please, Lord God Envoy, accept the blessings from our Kingdom of Water. Let Terumime represent the Kingdom of Water and perform for the Lord God Envoy. Luemu's mouth twitched. Finally I know what it means to tell lies with your eyes open. If Lumu hadn't known this book, he would have been fooled by Terumime. And everyone in the Kingdom of Water, in order to please themselves, has completely become a licking dog. Is that book a serious book? Is the dance in that book a serious dance? Is the author of that book a serious author? Terumime saw Luemu's hesitation, and immediately knelt down on one knee. Because this dance is performed to worship the gods, there must be no bystanders during the dance. However, Master, you are the messenger of God, and you are absolutely qualified to enjoy this dance. You are also the only one who can enjoy this dance in person. People. This is my only requirement to become a Mizukage. For a moment, everyone looked at Lumu eagerly. Although I don't know when the Kingdom of Water held large-scale sacrifices to the gods and the mysterious dance. But this is an opportunity you must not miss. I, Chojuro, wrote in blood, requesting the divine envoy to watch the performance. I, Momochi Zabuza and the two of them, wrote in blood, requesting the envoys to watch the performance. I, Goju Yagura, and 3 others wrote in blood, requesting the envoys to watch the performance. Okay, let me see. The world is quiet. In the spacious room, only Lumu, Terumime and Katsuyu Senin were left. At this time, no matter how thick-skinned Terumime was, she felt nervous. After all, what he is going to do next is really too bold. After Lumu came to the house, he relaxed wholeheartedly. After all, being stared at by so many people, no matter what you do, you are in the sight of others. Then it was magnified infinitely. Lumu must keep his best side and appear in front of everyone. And it was just too tiring. I really don't know how Blue Star TV stars can bear this pressure. All we have to do now is wait for the performances of Terumime and Katsuyu Senin. Okay, let's get started. Terumime and Katsuyu Sage nodded, and then walked towards Lumu step by step. For a moment, Luemu's heart beat rapidly. Although Terumime and Katsuyu Senin showed no signs of attack. But Lumu felt that the two of them were like 2 wild wolves with green eyes, watching their prey and ready to attack at any time. Snap. When Terumime walked up to Lumu and arranged her clothes, the book that Terumime had hidden fell directly to the ground. After seeing the title of the book and the author Jiraiya on the cover, the corners of Luemu's mouth twitched even more. Stop. Are you sure this book is for worshipping gods? In our impression of the Kingdom of Water, the gods all live in heaven. The word, affectionate, refers to the yearning for the gods, so the title of the book means yearning for the gods. The author of this book is Jiraiya, one of the Sannin who is very famous in the ninja world. As soon as you hear the name, you can tell that he is very literary. His taste can completely represent the entire Fire Nation. Looking at Terumime with a calm expression, Lumu almost suspected that this book was not the same book as the one in Hitaki Kakashi's hand. This Jiraiya was not the Jiraiya Lumu knew. Lumu was about to pick up the book and read it when he suddenly felt his eyes go dark. In the evening, Lumu looked back at the Kingdom of Water that was gradually receding. When he saw Terumime with a resentful face, Lumu couldn't help but smile. Fortunately, I responded quickly. Otherwise, the innocence will be completely lost. I didn't expect Terumime to be so strong. Although he was taken advantage of a lot, at least he was kept clean. But if I were a few years older, maybe I wouldn't reject Terumime. After all, exposure to this thing too early will cause great damage to the body. For the sake of long-term development, it is better to be patient for a while. Lumu thought and then staggered back to the cabin. I saw Katsuyu Senin kneeling on the book in the cabin, holding his ears with both hands, his face full of grievances. Tell me, do you dare to do it next time? After being scolded by Lumu, Master Katsuyu's face looked even more aggrieved. Obviously it was done exactly as written in the book. But I just don't know where I went wrong. It seems that my research on the book is still too one-sided and I need to understand it more deeply. Lumu couldn't help but shook his head when he saw Katsuyu Sage's expression that he was wrong this time and would dare next time. Before the age of 18, it is better to have fewer psychics. After several days of traveling, we are getting closer and closer to the land of rain. Lumu finally enjoyed an emperor-like feeling. Every gesture is taken care of. But just when Lumu was enjoying it, suddenly countless soldiers ran out and surrounded Lumu and his party. Lumu couldn't help but laugh. In addition to his own Chunin strength, there are even shadow-level experts in his group, and most of the ninjas are elite Jonin. There are still people who dare to block the road. And the ones blocking the road were ordinary samurai. Although there are many people on the other side, in front of the shadow level, they are just serving food. Who dares to block the way of the god's envoy? After knowing the identity of the divine envoy Lumu, Loquat Shazang respected Lumu even more than before. There is even a tendency to catch up with Scorpio. As soon as he realized something was wrong, he jumped out immediately, with pride written all over his face. The samurai were obviously professionally trained. Even though they knew that Loquat Juzang was not simple, no one backed down at all, forming a human wall blocking the way. Just when Loquat Juzang took out his beheading sword and prepared to show off his skills, the soldiers suddenly gave way to a path. From the road, a woman wearing a red and white witch costume slowly walked out. Lord Shion learned from Divination that at this time today, a person who can save the world will pass by here, so he specially sent me to wait here. Shion, this is the country of ghosts. Lumu was confused for a moment, then immediately reacted and asked. Yes, this is the land of ghosts. After receiving the witch's affirmation, Lumu understood instantly. The kingdom of ghosts does not have a ninja village like other countries, but it has the largest shrine in the ninja world. The purpose of the shrine's existence is to seal a demon capable of destroying the world. But in Luemu's memory, it should be several years before the devil protrudes the seal. Then let Uzumaki Naruto handle it. I don't know why, the witch from the kingdom of ghosts blocked my way. Mycos are the beings who worship the gods. Now that the envoy of the gods is right in front of you, you dare to block the way. Loquat Juzang said impatiently. After all, he dared to block Luemu's way. For Loquat Juzo, this also touched the bottom line. The witch was stunned for a moment, then looked Lumu up and down, and then it was obvious that she was suppressing the anger in her heart. Pretending to be an envoy is the greatest blasphemy against the gods. I advise you to use rat tail juice. Lumu suddenly panicked. Maybe gods really do exist in the ninja world. The ghoul seal performed by 4th Hokage uses one's own soul as a bargaining chip to summon Shinigami to completely seal the opponent's soul. It is an extreme one for one ninjutsu. Being able to summon Shinigami shows that gods really exist in this world. Moreover, Hidan believed in the evil god and thus gained immortality. It shows that the evil god may also be real. And under the guise of being a divine envoy, he deceived the entire kingdom of water. If only the true gods knew. Maybe there will be divine punishment. Lumu swallowed a mouthful of saliva to cover up the panic in his heart. Then what exactly do you want to do when you stop us? I am only responsible for delivering the message. The specific content can only be revealed by going to the shrine to see the shrine maiden Shion. Okay, let's go. Lumu and the others walked up the mountain in a mighty manner. Before arriving at the shrine, you can see that the mountain is covered with charms. Moreover, the power on this talisman is completely different from the chakra on the detonating talisman. It belongs to another kind of power. Compared with chakra, this power is softer and more holy, and seems to have the power to purify everything. Apart from the talismans all over the mountains and plains, the most numerous ones are the witches in red and white witch costumes. There seemed to be very few outsiders visiting the shrine. One by one, the witches looked at Lumu and the others curiously. After looking at Lumu, they immediately ran away with a blushing face. We're here, please wait here for the arrival of the Miko-sama. After saying this, the witch left Lumu and others and left directly. As soon as I left Loquat Juzo, I couldn't sit still. What kind of person is this? He left the Lord God Envoy here and ran away. By the way, Lord God Envoy, is this the shrine of your god? Lumu panicked. Let's not talk about where my god is for now. If Loquat Juzo continues to talk, maybe his soul can stay here forever and accompany the god. After all, you are pretending to be a magic stick under someone else's roof. It's just a trick, not a shrine. That would be a pity, otherwise I would have to teach the Miko just now a lesson. Loquat Juzang said dissatisfied. But as soon as he finished speaking, a figure slowly walked out. Although she is also wearing the costume of a Miko, she is obviously much more luxurious than the previous Miko, which means her status is more noble. But her age and body shape are much smaller than those of the previous witches. He looks only 8 or 9 years old. Gods are kind. If a god punishes his own witch for a trivial matter, do you think this god will still have followers? Hello everyone, I am Shion, the great witch of the kingdom of ghosts. Shion said gently. There is an aura of holiness in his words and deeds. The guilty heart seemed to be cleansed in front of Ziwan. But it was such a person who made Loquat Shazang speechless with a few simple words. Lumu didn't dare to say much. After all, in a sense, Shion, as the great Miko, is the true messenger of God in the ninja world. Every word represents God, and he is just a fake. Seeing no response from the few people, Ziwan knelt down in front of Lumu and kept looking at the few people with her shining eyes. Our shrine has been suppressing a demon, and my duty is to seal it when the demon breaks through the seal. But a recent divination showed that the demon will break through the seal early, but I cannot seal it, and in the end the world will be destroyed. But there is still a glimmer of hope, and this glimmer of vitality is among the few of you, so for the sake of the entire ninja world, and for yourselves, I hope you can cooperate with me. I will use divination to check your future and find out the existence that can save the world. So who comes first? Shion is the great shrine maiden of Oni no Kuni Shrine. And her ability to become a great witch depends on her two abilities. The first is to use your own life to become a seal. Seal the newly born devil once again. The second is the divination ability that can predict the future. Therefore, Ziwan can accurately calculate the time when Lumu and others will arrive. Juzu, please let the Miko-sama do some divination first. Lumu knew Ziwan's ability, just in case she suddenly broke through his disguise. Then a few people around you may be able to deal with yourself in an instant. Therefore, Shion must not be allowed to use divination on herself. Loquat Juzang was originally dissatisfied with the Miko's attitude, but now that he received the order, he sat down directly in front of Shion, his face full of disdain. To divine the future, you first have a look at my future. If it's not accurate, my beheading sword will not let you go. After Loquat Juzang finished speaking, he directly placed the beheading sword in front of him. Shion didn't care. There was even a trace of disdain in his eyes. From the time I learned divination until now, I have never made any mistakes in divination. Calculate when the opponent will die. Then you will definitely die, and you won't even miss a minute. So when she was a child, Ziwan was a monster in the eyes of other children. Now people are questioning his divination ability. The unwillingness to admit defeat in my heart was suddenly aroused. I also hope that my divination is accurate, so I can relax and feel my power. Shion said, clasping her hands together and closing her eyes. A pink energy spread out from the body and gradually enveloped Loquat Juzo. There seemed to be the sound of pages turning in the dark. It seems that there is a mysterious force that is checking the information of Loquat Shizang. But at this moment, Ziwan opened her eyes suddenly, looking at Loquat Juzo in disbelief. Then he quickly closed his eyes and mobilized that mysterious power again. After repeating this several times, Loquat Juzang finally became impatient. Hey, are you okay? What's the calculated result? Ziwan opened and closed her mouth for a long time, with a panic look on her face. Say it, Loquat Juzang urged again. You are already dead. Ziwan hesitated for a long time and finally said. Loquat Juzang was stunned for a moment, and then burst into laughter. I died. Then what am I now? A walking zombie. I don't know, but I clearly saw you being struck to death by the big knife in your hand. By the way, you were fighting a monster with orange chakra all over its body and 3 tails on the back. He was the one who killed you. Shion said eagerly. Want to prove that what you say is true. But the ninja who should have died was now running and jumping in front of him. You're spitting. Goji Yagura angrily slapped the tatami. A handprint was left directly on the tatami. The orange chakra, plus the beast with 3 tails, isn't it the tailed beast version of myself? Who are you burying? If it were before, Goju Yagura believed that he would really have murderous intentions towards Loquat Juzang. But now Genjutsu is cracked. He became teammates with Loquat Juzang again. Now Shion said that he would kill Loquat Juzang. Isn't this destroying the newly established trust between teammates? I never expected that Ziwan could be so bad at such a young age. Ziwan almost burst into tears. I have been trying Bai Ling's divination skills for a long time, but why is it so inaccurate today? The person who was supposed to be dead after divination several times was standing in front of him alive. This is not a mistake. However, what Ziwan didn't know was that there was another person present who was more panicked than her. At this time, Lu Emu's back was soaked with sweat. If it weren't for the main color of Hong Yun's black coat being black, I'm afraid it would have been exposed long ago. Although Shion miscalculated this time. But Lu Mu knew very well that if he did not show up, then Loquat Juzang would definitely die at the hands of Goju Yagura. This shows that Ziwan's divination ability is absolutely real. When it's your turn, if you find your own strength and say it. There must be a few people around me who are definitely not easy to talk to. Ziwan kept grabbing her aqua blue hair, trying to figure out which step she had made. But no matter how many times it is deduced, the outcome is the same. All show that Loquat Juzo is dead. At this moment, Ziwan's eyes lit up and she instantly understood the meaning of this divination. Loquat Juzo's fate has been changed. The characters who can change destiny are among these people. I am getting closer to him. Good, on to the next one. What's next? You haven't explained the matter clearly to me yet. Loquat Juzang stood up angrily. Then he picked up the beheading knife and put it on Ziwan's neck. Didn't you just say that I would be killed with a beheading sword? If you don't tell me clearly now, I will kill you. Shion was startled. It was completely unexpected that Loquat Juzang would dare to threaten himself as a great Miko in the shrine. At one time, more than a dozen witches ran in, eyeing Loquat Juzang with eager eyes, but no one dared to approach. Hurry up and release Master Ziwan. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. Loquat Juzo smiled disapprovingly. If he could survive from Metadai, would he still be afraid of a few witches? Then the beheading sword got closer to Shion's neck. Shazang, stop it, Lumu said. Originally, Lumu really didn't want to stop him. He even expected Loquat Juzo to kill Shion. But Ziwan couldn't die yet. The demons under the shrine are different from ordinary monsters. The ninjutsu condensed by chakra has no effect on him. The only effective method is the seal of the power of the Miko. Hokage ninja, Uzumaki Naruto was able to defeat the demon because of the power of the Miko. Otherwise, no matter how powerful Uzumaki Naruto is, it is also impossible to defeat the devil. The power of this shrine maiden is passed down from a single line, although there are many shrine maidens in the shrine. But the only one who has truly mastered the power of the Miko is Shion. If Shion dies, then there will be no one left to restrain the devil. Therefore, nothing can happen to Ziwan. After hearing Luemu's words, Loquat Juzang could only sit down dissatisfied. But looking at his expression, it is obvious that this matter has not been resolved. Seeing this, Ziwan could only explain with an aggrieved look. According to the original trajectory, you should indeed be dead, but your destiny has been rewritten by others, and what I am looking for is the person who can rewrite your destiny. After hearing Shion's explanation, Loquat Juzang showed an expression of sudden realization on his face. If it is true as Shion said, then the person who rewrites his destiny is his savior. Then he looked at Lumu with grateful eyes. Yagura, go up and give it a try. Lumu said. All in all, if it can be delayed for a while, maybe there will be a turn for the better. Goju Yagura nodded slightly. Although I am a little dissatisfied with Ziwan, I am actually looking forward to it. Because there is something Gotochibana Yagura needs to know. I hope Shion can give an answer. That is, who controlled himself with Genjutsu. You must take a good look at the past and the future to make sure you don't miss any important information. Goju Yagura said seriously. If it were before, Ziwan would definitely be confident. After all, his divination predictions have never been missed. But after experiencing Loquat Juzo, Ziwan became cautious. Put your hands together and close your eyes tightly. Then an invisible force burst out, filling the entire room. Then all the energy comes together, enveloping Goju Yagura in it. The witches were shocked. Ziwan had done many fortune tellings. But this was the first time I saw Ziwan put so much effort into divination. Is it possible that the person in front of you is really that important? A drop of cold sweat ran down Ziwan's forehead, and she kept praying in her heart, don't make any mistakes again, otherwise you will definitely die. The divination finally came out, and Ziwan finally breathed a sigh of relief after receiving the feedback. At least it's not like before, where a dead person was divined directly. Don't doubt your life when you say it. In fact, you have been being manipulated. You always thought you made the decision yourself, but in fact you were manipulated by others. But you never knew it. After Ziwan finished speaking, she showed a satisfied smile. After all, these words will save the man in front of him. But after waiting for a long time, he didn't see the surprised expression of Goju Yagura. That's it. Wait a minute, you were manipulated, aren't you surprised at all? Ziwan said anxiously. I already know this, why should I be anxious or surprised? Ziwan almost spit out a mouthful of blood. According to the divination instructions, Goju Yagura should still be kept in the dark. And the day Godachibana Yagura knew the truth, it also represents the arrival of his death. But looking at his current appearance, he doesn't look like he's dying at all. It can be seen that his divination failed again. Just when Shion was about to start divination again, Goju Yagura rushed up, grabbed Shion's shoulders with both hands, and shook her. Hurry up and tell me who used genjutsu on me and who is the person who manipulated me. For a moment, tears of dissatisfaction shed from the corners of Ziwan's eyes. The Great Witch's reputation may have plummeted. But the first thing to do now is to stop Goju Yagura. If I shake myself anymore, I'll throw up. Stop shaking, I've already seen that person. Goju Yagura looked at Shion expectantly. Ever since he found out that he had been hit by genjutsu and the entire water country was in chaos, the caster had become a knot in Goju Yagura's heart. Now that I have met Ziwan, I will naturally not miss this opportunity. Ziwan looked helpless. As the great shrine maiden of the Ghost Country Shrine, when had I ever experienced such injustice? But Ziwan didn't dare to speak out if she had any grievances. After all, the man in front of him is not a good person. Would it be a good idea to plunge the entire water country into carnage and turmoil? Then Shion quickly closed her eyes. Start sorting out the information just returned from the divination. The man was wearing an ominous coat of red clouds and black. Hearing Shion's words, Goju Yagura was stunned for a moment, feeling like he had seen this dress somewhere before. Then he looked back sharply. I saw Lumu and Loquat Juzang carefully taking off their clothes. The man had blood-red eyes. Goju Yagura desperately recalled, with blood-red eyes, wasn't he the Sharingan of Konoha village? But in the previous battle, Lumu also has a Sharingan. Then he quickly turned his attention to Lumu. Lumu almost spit out a mouthful of blood. You can't say it all at once. Are you planning to kill me? That man also wore an orange swirl mask. This time, before Goju Yagura could react, Goju Juzang stood up. Hooligan. A fey. Goju Yagura suddenly became serious. If you find that person, you will never kill him, you must make him feel the pain. Foolish Miko, have you made a mistake in your divination again? Fei is just a trainee of our Akatsuki organization. He has not even reached the strength of Jonin. How can he control Goju Yagura with genjutsu? Loquat Juzo said impatiently. Ziwan's face felt aggrieved once again. If it were before, if someone dared to question his divination skills, he would definitely refute him confidently. But it failed twice. That confidence in Ziwan has completely disappeared. But the picture of my divination is this. Ziwan said solemnly. Okay, I'll go check it out. If your divination is wrong, you will definitely pay the price. Goju Yagura said and sat directly aside. What's next? Zabuza, you go ahead. Lumu raised the corners of his mouth slightly, fearing that Shion would collapse before it was his turn if he continued. Then you can escape, etc. As soon as Momochi Zabuza stood up, Shion spoke. Shion was really scared. Everyone looked so scary, and it felt like Lumu was hiding something. Especially with such a strong team. It is definitely doubtful that the leader is so young. So Ziwan decided to give Lumu a divination first. Others, wait a moment, I'll give you a divination first. Ziwan looked at Lumu seriously and said. This time Lumu panicked. The first two fortune tellings have already demonstrated Ziwan's ability in fortune telling. If you ask Ziwan to divine for you, something will definitely happen. But at this moment, Luemu's eyes suddenly lit up, and a confident smile appeared on his face. You must have heard what they called me, God's envoy. Do you think that with my status, I would easily let you give me divination? You are blaspheming, Lumu said, with an angry expression on his face. Shion was already a frightened bird. Lumu gave a soft drink, and he immediately became a little frightened. Especially seeing the angry expressions of Loquat Juzang and Goju Yagura, Shion was even more frightened. But subconsciously, I gave Ziwan a feeling. There is definitely something wrong with the young man in front of him. Then he took a deep breath and gathered up his courage. My purpose is very simple. It is to find the hope that is enough to save the world. If your god knows this, he will definitely agree. Okay, I promise you. Lumu said without hesitation. Ziwan almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Since you agreed so simply, why did you refuse just now? You were just kidding me. Okay, sit in front of me, then relax and let my power enter your body. Etc. Lumu interrupted Ziwan. A mysterious smile appeared on his face. If you want to perform divination on me, you must first accept my divination to see if you are qualified. Ah, you want to perform divination on me? Shion was completely dumbfounded. I have been helping others do divination, and one day someone will do divination for me. But Shion quickly came to her senses. He looked at Lumu with a smile on his face. Divination is his unique ability, a privilege earned by serving the gods. It can be said about the entire ninja world. The only one who can perform divination is himself. Although I don't know what Lumu wants to do. But at this moment, Lumu looked as ridiculous as a clown in Ziwan's eyes. Okay, actually I'm quite curious about what will happen to me in the future. Although Shion has not used divination on herself yet. But through divination of other people and events, I also have a general understanding of my future. So if Lumu wants to deceive himself, that just won't work. Very good, sit in front of me, then close your eyes and relax, and let my energy enter your body. Ziyuan's mouth twitched. Unexpectedly, what Lumu said was exactly the same as his own. This further confirmed my thoughts. The man in front of me is definitely pretending. Then he came directly to Lumu and closed his eyes. Seeing this, Lumu laughed evilly. Then he imitated Ziwan's way of divination and learned it in a decent manner. The witches looked at Lumu with disdain. Although the postures learned are very similar, they are just postures. Divination is mainly the use of the power of witches. But Lumu couldn't feel any power of the witch. So Shion breathed a sigh of relief. I was afraid that Lumu would really be able to do divination, but now I feel relieved. Just a show off. Okay, I have seen your future clearly. Lumu said with a mysterious smile. Ziwan opened her eyes, ready to see what Lumu would make up. This time is definitely your chance to feel proud. So what's going to happen to me in the next few years? You will have a boyfriend who you want to commit to for life, but he doesn't understand what you mean and then leaves. Shion burst out laughing. Originally, Shion, as the great shrine maiden of the demon country shrine, would never do such an unreasonable thing. But it was really suppressed too much before. He couldn't help but laugh out loud. As the great shrine maiden of Oni no Kuni shrine, she can also get married and have children. And the child she gives birth to will be the next great witch. And with her status as a great Miko, basically no one can refuse their invitation. So if you find someone you like and let him run away, this is absolutely impossible. What kind of divination are you doing? Finding a boyfriend is very normal. If I follow what you said, I can predict that you will definitely eat and drink tomorrow. After Ziwan finished speaking, she immediately felt comfortable. The emotions suppressed by Loquat Juzo and Goju Yagura were suddenly released. And after this pressure and release, Shion felt that the sense of urgency before the demon's attack was gone. That man even helped you deal with that demon. Lumu continued quickly. Hearing this, the smile on Ziwan's face became even wider. The demon was not harmed by the chakra, and could only be sealed by the power of the Miko in his body. In other words, even if the ninja god Senju Hashirama comes, he will not be able to hurt the devil at all. Let alone fix it. So Lumu was definitely lying. However, Ziwan was enjoying it and did not want to expose the scam immediately. Instead, he put on a surprised expression on his face. Yeah, what does that person look like? He is a ninja, with yellow hair and something like a cat's whiskers on his face. Ziwan was even more happy. Unexpectedly, he said it in a formal way, as if such a thing was happening. But Ziwan is not going to pretend anymore. It's also time to let these people who have caused embarrassment to themselves be embarrassed for once. Okay, stop pretending. You don't have the power of a witch, so your divination will never be successful. Let me do your divination instead. Who do you think is pretending? Loquat Juzang roared angrily when he saw this. Lumu is in Loquat Shizang's mind. He is a representative of spirit, a benefactor of life, and a godlike existence. Just when Loquat Juzang was about to run away, Lumu suddenly stretched out his hand. Don't be excited. Since the great witch Shion doesn't believe it, let her see it with her own eyes. Ziwan was stunned for a moment and didn't react for a long time. Divination is inherently a mysterious thing. Even I can only see some fragmented fragments. It is absolutely impossible for others to watch it together. Just when Shion was about to retort, suddenly, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared in front of him, and then the world in front of him started to spin. Shion came to her senses. Seeing the familiar scenery around me, I kept wondering. But if you look closely, the surrounding scenery is slightly different. The decoration is much older than before. The furnishings have also changed positions in several places. The most important thing is that all the people just now have disappeared. Left alone to sit in the room. Ziwan stood up in confusion, but as soon as she stood up, she noticed something strange about herself. Got taller. Moreover, it seemed like there were two weights tied to the front, weighing me down so much that I couldn't breathe. Then Shion hurried to the mirror. But when she saw herself in the mirror, Ziwan was dumbfounded. I have grown several times. It feels like several years have passed. For a moment, Ziwan's heart beat rapidly. Thinking of Luemu's last words, she immediately reacted. Is this my future? Shion's face was full of shock. It was completely unexpected that Lumu could actually allow him to see the future. You know, even the previous generation of Miko, his mother could not do this. And Lumu did it. And the most important thing is that I don't look at my future from the perspective of a bystander. Instead, he participated directly. It's like it's really been a few years. For a moment, Ziwan became curious about Lumu. How much does it take for a Grandmaster of Divination to do this? Could it be true as Loquat Juzang said? Lumu is also a divine envoy, and he is a god with a higher divinity than his own. Thinking of this, Ziwan's heart beat rapidly. At this moment, a witch walked in respectfully. Miss Shion, the ninjas from Konoha village have arrived. Let them come in. Ziwan quickly put away her excitement. He sat down on the tatami demurely. Not long after, several figures walked in. The leader was a Konoha ninja suffering from cataracts, followed closely behind was a green watermelon rind and meatball head. Although Ziwan was still sitting upright, but a pair of big eyes were constantly searching for the yellow-haired Konoha ninja Lumu mentioned. After all, that was his boyfriend in the divination. But when the last Konoha ninja came in, he didn't see the striking yellow hair. But it allowed Shion to discover the new world. That's Lumu. Ziwan never expected that she would meet Lumu in this world of divination. But what makes Shion strange is, Lumu didn't seem to recognize him at all, and his little eyes in front of him showed a confused look. How is this going? The Miko next to her noticed something strange about Ziwan and coughed twice. Miss Shion, all the ninjas from Konoha village are here. You can tell us about the mission. Shion suddenly came back to her senses. A blush suddenly appeared on his face, and he hurriedly stated the mission requirements. As he spoke, he kept observing Lumu. Finally, Ziwan read out the task requirements, and everyone understood their work content. The Konoha ninjas were also preparing to get up and leave, returning to their resting place. Wait a minute, Lumu stays. The Konoha ninjas stopped and looked at Shion in confusion. Is this part of the mission? Nara Shikamaru asked, frowning in confusion. As the captain of this mission, all aspects were arranged by Nara Shikamaru. From just now, I noticed that Ziwan was acting strangely and was staring at Lumu. Unexpectedly, additional tasks were directly proposed now. Of course, forget it. After all, the mission this time is mainly to protect me. Okay then, Lumu, you can stay. Lumu stayed in confusion, and after everyone left, Ziwan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then he sat next to Lumu. Okay, stop pretending, is this really the world a few years from now? It's quite magical. And who is your god? It's so powerful, it can bring me to this point in time. Is it the legendary Lord Amaterasu? Ziwan murmured a series of words. Lumu was filled with black people's questions and had no idea what Ziwan was talking about. That Miss Ziwan, have we met before? I don't mean anything else, it's just that I really don't remember. Ziwan was stunned for a moment. Luemu's expression didn't look like he was pretending at all. It really felt like meeting me for the first time, and my eyes were full of doubts. Did I really admit the wrong person? Shion shuddered. Look at everything familiar around you, look at the faces of familiar people around you. Ziwan was completely silent. In the world of divination, the demon was completely sealed after a hard battle. But he was not happy at all. Because during those few days of contact, when I fell in love with him and became completely dependent on him, he turned around and left. Now go back to the original time. Seeing Lumu's smile, a mixed expression appeared on his face. How's it going? Did you see the divination scene? Did you see the yellow-haired boy? Lumu talked about the yellow-haired boy. Ziwan's whole body exploded. The yellow-haired boy who had been waiting for a long time didn't see it, but he couldn't help but fall in love with Lumu. Lumu was still shouting heartlessly. Just when Ziwan was about to get angry, she suddenly discovered the problem. First of all, Shion has confirmed countless times over there that it is definitely not a genjutsu space. So why is it that in the current timeline, when I don't know Lumu, Lumu knows me? But a few years later, Lumu didn't recognize him as if he were meeting him for the first time. Then there is only one possibility. That was Lumu who we met for the first time a few years later. The current Lumu may have relied on the power of gods to travel to the current timeline. To save regrets. After all, the power of gods is mysterious and unpredictable, and anything is possible. Thinking of this, Ziyuan's face turned red completely, and she lightly punched Lumu on the chest with her small fist. I didn't expect you to do this for me. Lumu was completely stunned. He wondered if his genjutsu had damaged Shion's brain. Why did Ziwan go from a sacred Miko to a dead Tsunere? Which step did the problem occur? Could it be that what Shion was shown was the movie version of Mizukage Ninja? This is what I should do, so have you seen your future boyfriend? Lumu suppressed the speechlessness in his heart and continued to ask quickly. Hear what Lumu said. Shion's face turned red again. It's true, it's hitting me again, but now there are so many people, how can I say it out loud? Yes, I saw it. He is very handsome. Thank you. Looking at the shy Ziwan, Lumu felt embarrassed. According to her own settings, Shion should have seen her experience with Uzumaki Naruto. Why are you so attentive to me? Have you really watched Mizukage Ninja? But at least he deceived Ziwan. Then I have proven my strength, can I no longer need divination? No, I absolutely have to do divination. Ziwan suddenly became excited. After experiencing the divination space, Ziwan became more curious about Lumu. Especially now that there is one more important thing to confirm. That is whether the current Lumu and the Lumu who divined the space are the same person. So no matter what, you have to divine once. If you must do divination, I hope it can be done one-on-one in a separate room. This is Lumu's final bottom line. As long as his strength is not discovered by Guju Yagura and others, then everything is easy to say. But after hearing Lumu's words, Ziwan's face turned red again. You want to be alone with me? How is this possible? I'm not that kind of person. But if it's just divination, I'm willing. Ziwan's whole head became confused. Even speaking became incoherent. Lumu almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Ziwan acted as if she was confessing to the person she liked. So confused and disorganized. Using genjutsu to control a little girl is not what a gentleman would do. Go to Chibana, Yagura said. Although I respect you very much, I don't understand your method. Loquat Juzang said. Start in 3 years, Momochi Zabuza said. Lumu almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Why do I feel like the misunderstanding is getting bigger and bigger? If this continues, before your strength is exposed, you will die. What Lumu can do now is to escape from here quickly. Hurry up and finish the divination as soon as possible. Ah, are you in such a hurry? Why don't you wait for me to wash up and change into another set of clothes? No, now, right away. Okay, you are really anxious. For a moment, Lumu felt that the eyes around him were getting sharper and sharper, and he felt as if he would be sent away at any time. Lumu did not dare to stay any longer. He grabbed Ziwan and ran out. I am provoking someone. After arriving in the small room, Lumu finally breathed a sigh of relief. No matter what people outside think, at least I am safe at this moment. Shion, on the other hand, was hiding in the corner. He turned his back to himself, like a hamster, balled up into a ball, not knowing what he was doing. Hey, Do you just want to tell me a fortune like this? Ziyuan trembled all over, slowly turned her head, and looked at Lumu with fear and expectation. Oh, you sit in front of me, relax your whole body, and let my energy enter your body. Ziyuan had just finished speaking and was about to clasp her hands together. Suddenly Lumu rushed forward and grabbed Ziyuan's hand. For a moment, Ziyuan's heart felt like beating gongs and drums. It feels like my heart is going to beat out at any moment. Remember, no matter what happened, you can't tell it. Lumu said seriously, but in Ziyuan's eyes, his face changed directly. Recalling what Lumu looked like before he left. Then he quickly shook his head. No, I'm too young. Ziyuan kept shaking her head, but the hand held by Lumu showed no intention of struggling. Lumu looked at Ziyuan with confusion on his face. He just wanted Ziyuan not to reveal his information. Why did it have anything to do with him being too young? But you can't force Shion to do anything. Now I just hope that my strength will not be revealed, at least not while I am in the kingdom of ghosts. No matter what, I hope you won't reveal my abilities. Lumu looked at Ziyuan seriously. Ziyuan suddenly turned red like a cooked crab. There were even a few tears forced out of the corners of his eyes. Are you really going to do this? Otherwise, what do you think I'm here for? Lumu rolled his eyes and said. Shion smiled bitterly. An expression of compromise finally appeared on his face, and then he reached out to unbutton Shikai's body. Seeing the number increasing, Lumu felt something was wrong. Are you going to take off your clothes now? Divination. Ziyuan looked at Lumu blankly and took a long time to react, but the movements of her hands did not stop. Instead, he just threw away his coat. You are different. You are the messenger of the gods. I must use divination without reservation. Ziyuan said seriously. Lumu nodded slightly. Clothes can easily hinder the transmission of energy such as chakra. Taking off clothes can allow the body to feel the power of the outside world. Therefore, Shion's actions are understandable. Well, I thought you had some special ideas. I was shocked. Shion shuddered. His serious face turned red again. How can I, the great witch of Oni no Kuni Shrine, have any bad thoughts? I have received professional training and will never let external factors interfere with me. Please don't look at me with your worldly eyes. After Ziyuan finished speaking, she closed her eyes directly. I was afraid that if I saw Lumu again, I would be exposed. As an ancient and complicated spell jumped out of Ziyuan's mouth, a surging energy burst out directly. Even if you don't deliberately feel it, you can clearly feel the release of energy. Luemu's clothes and hair were blown away, and they kept dancing. Don't resist, relax and accept my power. At this time, Ziyuan lost her previous panic and turned into a holy and holy look. During his call, Lumu also completely calmed down. Feeling Ziyuan's power, it entered the body bit by bit. At this moment, the air suddenly solidified, and a huge pressure descended from the sky. Lumu felt like he was being pressed down by a mountain. It was so stressful that I couldn't breathe. Boom. Suddenly there was a violent thunder in the cloudless sky. The birds in the mountain forest were so frightened that they all flew around. And the earth also trembled. What's going on here? Lumu looked up confusedly. It seems that I didn't use ninjutsu, so how could such a scene suddenly appear? At this moment, thunder continued to sound. Bolts of lightning struck directly inside the shrine, causing rubble to fly. The entire shrine is like a purgatory on earth. At this time, a phantom appeared in front of Lumu, with anger written on his beautiful face. A pair of eyes were staring at Lumu. It seemed that he wanted to swallow Lumu in one gulp. I never thought that someone in this world would dare to blaspheme God. Today I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. Lumu looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. He never thought that there were gods in this world, and that gods appeared in front of him. The most important thing is that she actually wanted to kill herself. I saw the god walking up to Ziyuan, and finally sat down cross-legged, his shadow completely overlapping that of Zion. Then the shadow disappeared and completely integrated into Ziyuan's body. Ziyuan opened her eyes suddenly, and a divine light shot out from her eyes. Then the momentum surged and he was pushed outside. Boom. The shrine was completely blown away by the strong Kamui. In one breath, the shrine turned into a pile of ruins. Fortunately, Lumu already has Chunan's qualities. Otherwise, under such a strong impact, it may be blown away instantly. Blasphemer, have you thought about how to die? Ziwan said slowly, but another person's voice appeared in her mouth. This sound is just heard. It makes people have the urge to kneel down. But Lumu felt that this voice was full of indifference, as if he didn't care about the lives of anyone present at all. He only cares about Lumu, the blasphemer. Loquat Juzang and others looked at Shion in confusion. I never expected that just now she was a weak girl who could cry for a long time with just one punch. Now it feels sacrosanct. For a moment all the witches fell to their knees. There were pious expressions on their faces. She seems to want to kill the angel. What should I do? There's something wrong with this girl's aura. What are you afraid of? If you dare to hurt our envoy, just go up and kill her. As Loquat Juzang roared, Goju Yagura and others rushed forward without hesitation. Ziwan glanced sideways, with a disdainful smile on her face. Don't overestimate your own capabilities. As soon as Ziwan finished speaking, she formed a seal with one hand. Loquat Juzang and others were directly frozen in the air, as if the freeze button was pressed, and they completely lost control of their bodies. Only a pair of fearful eyes were left, looking at the scene in front of him. Don't be anxious, I will deal with you later. All I have to do now is this blasphemer. After Ziwan finished speaking, her eyes moved to Lumu again. A blasphemer cannot simply die. He must suffer countless sufferings in the world. Now I will let you slowly feel it. The words just fell. Lumu felt like his whole body was frozen in place. Although the body can still move, it is very difficult. At this moment, a familiar voice came from my ears. Ding dong. It has been detected that the host's body has been invaded by an unknown force. Emergency registration is now open. Option 1. Consume 10% of the arousal level, and the system will randomly send it to the host once. Option 2. Consume 50% of the arousal level, and the host will materialize the special effects within an hour. Option 3. Consume 100% of the arousal level to increase the host's strength to super shadow level. The arousal level is not enough, so you cannot choose. Option 4. Spend 50 years of life, perform a space jump, and enter the next unknown world. Lumu's eyes lit up. I didn't expect that the system could be of such use. Lumu simply ignored options 3 and 4. Option 3 did not meet the requirements, and it was useless to choose. As for the option, Lumu would not dare to measure the direct service life. If the current lifespan is less than 50 years, wouldn't it mean that the person who traveled through the past would disappear directly, and it would be a complete teleportation and relocation of graves? Then there are only options 1 and 2 left to choose from. Seeing option 1, Lumu couldn't help but shook his head. He is now completely locked by Shion, even if he is teleported to the farthest reaches of the ninja world. Shion can also arrive in front of her instantly. Then Lumu was dealt with easily. So now the only thing Lumu can choose is option 2. Make special effects physical. In other words, the special effects performed will become real. Infinitely large fireballs will really fall. A tsunami hundreds of meters high will really hit you. So if you use the clone technique, wouldn't it really mean that gods will come down? Lumu's heart beat rapidly. The more I think about it, the more feasible it becomes. Then he used all his strength to clap his 2 hands together. Snapped. Clone technique. Aren't you ready to give up? I want to see what your final struggle is. Halfway through Ziwan's words, she suddenly felt that the whole sky darkened. The light all over the sky gathered to one point. Only a door of light is left, floating in the air and shining with little brilliance. And the breath wafting out from the crack of the light door made Ziwan reveal an incredible expression on her face. It can even be said to be deeply fearful. How is it possible? Cross-border gate. Who is this kid? Cross-border door. As the name suggests, you can rely on this door to travel across the world. But to perform this technique, the energy required is extraordinary. Only the more powerful among the gods have the ability to use it. Ziwan stared at this scene blankly and quickly shook her head. I still can't believe that a superior god will come to this ninja world. Pretend to be a ghost. Ziwan shouted angrily, and something like a spider web suddenly appeared in the space around the cross-border gate. Then it shattered completely like shards of glass. Shion smiled proudly. The space collapsed, and even if the gods suffered from this attack, they would never be able to escape intact. Not to mention a fake technique. But just when the fragments in the sky were about to fall to the ground, they suddenly stopped, and then like a videotape played in reverse, they all returned to their original positions. It's like nothing happened. Ziwan looked at this scene in disbelief. Then he quickly formed a seal with his hands. Suddenly 3 long swords appeared in the air and stabbed at the cross-border door, completely sealing the cross-border door. No matter how powerful you are, so what? As long as you can't get through, everything is in vain. Ziwan said, turning to look at Lumu. Then are you ready to accept the punishment? Boom. Just as Ziwan finished speaking, a violent sound suddenly came from the air. It's like hitting an iron door with your fist. Ziyuan twitched the corner of her mouth and looked at the cross-border door with fear on her face. I saw several fist marks appearing on the cross-border door, and as the sound came out, there were more and more fist marks. Boom. Finally, the door to cross-border was kicked down. A figure walked out of it. Taking a closer look, isn't it Lumu? It's just that at this time, he is surrounded by fairy mist, and the aura exuding from his body is constantly changing the ninja world. Ziyuan's mouth twitched. Just by breathing, you can change a world. This is definitely someone you can't mess with. But I'm not very scared, because the ninja world is a very fragile world. Enter the ninja world with this divine body. I'm afraid that the entire ninja world will collapse. And he is just a shadow, possessing his disciple Ziwan. Even if it is beaten to pieces, it is just one less believer. I finally understand why you are so anxious. It turns out that this is not your messenger, but your clone. I wonder how much my strength will increase if I absorb him. Shion smiled proudly. Then he rushed directly in front of Lumu and grabbed Luemu's neck with one hand. He took a bite directly. Luemu's eyes widened. I feel a force rising from my dantian, passing through my abdomen and stomach to my throat. Lumu had a feeling. If this breath is sucked out, you will definitely die. Then he quickly clapped his hands hard. Lumu suddenly rolled his eyes. Then the body turned into a transparent snake. Ziwan frowned. She didn't expect that she was kissing a small transparent snake, and she immediately felt offended. Just as he was about to get angry, Lumu struck out with a sword in the air. The sword energy was like a saw, cutting off the entire sky. Inside the break, there was darkness, a darkness where nothing could be seen. Ziwan quickly stopped and then dodged several times before dodging the sword energy. Don't waste your efforts. As long as you don't step out of the cross-border door, it's absolutely impossible to catch me. But if you don't come down, then I'll take your clone. Ziwan said with a smirk and ignored Lumu in the air. But when he turned around, he found that the original transparent snake had densely surrounded him. Seeing such a scene, even the god Ziwan felt his scalp numb at this time. Bluff! Ziwan roared angrily and pushed out with a powerful shock wave. Countless small transparent snakes were wiped out under the shock wave. Ziwan nodded with satisfaction, but the next second, the transparent little snakes that had just disappeared appeared again, and there were many more of them than before. And the numbers are rising. Ziwan quickly came to her senses. This was Luemu's technique. As long as he caught Lumu and devoured him, the technique would be self-defeating. So the first priority now is to find Lumu. Ziwan sneered, then quickly closed her eyes, constantly looking for traces of Lumu. Within a second, Ziwan found Lumu hiding behind the stone. Found you, little mouse, Ziwan said and was about to take action, but suddenly felt that her foot was caught by something. Looking down, it was the transparent little snake. Shion kicked away angrily, but the next second, more transparent snakes rushed up. What kind of technique is this? Chapter 91. Ziwan suddenly became nervous. This transparent little snake can't be killed at all, and it also likes to run around. As a god, when has he ever suffered such injustice? Then the energy in his body exploded again and again. Boy, come out here. What kind of man is he who hides? Shion went crazy. Although he knew where Lumu was, there were too many transparent snakes and he couldn't get through. Now I can only pray that Lumu can stand up on his own. At this moment, Lumu slowly walked out, and a hint of joy appeared on Ziwan's face. He secretly exerted energy in his body, preparing to give Lumu the final blow. Die. A beam of light shot straight towards Lumu, with an ecstatic expression on Ziwan's face. But at this moment, a wall slowly rose. Although the wall didn't look very solid, it gave Ziwan a thrilling feeling. It seems that behind this wall, there is something that makes me afraid. Suddenly Ziwan trembled. This wall Ziwan has seen before, it is the legendary Wall of Sighs, and behind it is the Underworld. Ziwan frantically wanted to intercept her own beam of light, but it was not that simple. I saw the beam hitting the wall, and the wall suddenly exploded. Behind the exposed wall is a world full of death. Oh, is there a god ready to attack my underworld? A voice came out from the void. This voice was full of death energy. The moment you heard it, you felt like your soul was being snatched away. And Ziwan's pupils shrank sharply. Others don't know the source of this sound, but Ziwan knows it very well. Pluton Hades, the king who rules the underworld. Although Hades is far inferior to his opponent at the cross-border gate, the difference is that Hades can completely enter the ninja world. Just when Ziwan was stunned, 108 figures jumped out, breathing in the air outside greedily. We are finally back. Each of the 108 figures has a shadow level strength, and several of them have surpassed the shadow level existence. Hades was about to give the order. Suddenly I found the cross-border gate in the sky, and my heart suddenly skipped a beat. Although he has never seen that god before, his astonishing momentum is definitely not something he can provoke. Go kill that woman. My warriors, kill that woman for me. Hades laughed evilly after receiving the order, and then the death aura on his body instantly filled the air. After receiving the order, the black-armored warriors instantly turned their attention to Shion, who suddenly erupted with energy that was different from the ninja world. For a moment, Ziwan was anxious. It is not difficult to deal with these 108 black-armored warriors, but the difficult thing is to deal with Pluton Hades. Especially when there are small transparent snakes around. Ziwan couldn't use her own strength at all. If she hadn't coveted Luemu's energy, Ziwan would have run away long ago. You're just a shadow. As long as you swallow that energy, you'll definitely make a profit. Shion said and clapped his hands. Suddenly a figure appeared from the body and rushed straight towards the 108 black-armored warriors. And he flew to Lumu in an instant. Boy, let's see where you run this time. Ziwan sneered, and then bit down again. Suddenly, Lumu felt that all the energy in his body was being sucked out. And this time, both hands were firmly grasped by Ziwan. There is no chance to form seals at all. All over his body, only his eyes and mouth are waiting for death. If you want to suck it, then I will suck it too. Lumu suddenly remembered that the last reward was an S-level ninjutsu. Ghoul's Kiss. It relies on absorbing the opponent's chakra with the mouth. Now that we are in a desperate situation, there is nothing that ninjutsu cannot use. Ghoul's Kiss. As Lumu shouted in his heart, the chakra guided by Ziwan became active again. You still haven't given up yet. Ziwan smiled disapprovingly. As long as he does not come into contact with this technique, Lumu will never be able to escape. It will take some time for Luemu's true form to come out. As for Hades's black-armored warrior, he was held back by his own clone. It was those little transparent snakes running around that made Ziwan a little unbearable. But at this moment, Ziwan felt something was wrong. His body couldn't move, and the energy that had been continuously absorbed from Luemu's body also stopped. Even his own energy was flowing towards Luemu's body. Shion looked to the side with the corner of her eyes. Suddenly, he found 4 ferocious-looking figures grabbing his limbs. Lifting himself up, the whole person was suspended in the air. Ziwan has also seen these 4 ferocious figures. They are the monsters from the mysterious East. Who did I offend? Hades could not help but tremble in his heart when he saw the demons and monsters. People from the Eastern Hell, it seems they don't need us anymore. Hades couldn't help but smile bitterly after saying this. It's not that Hades is really afraid of the Eastern Underworld, but because the Eastern gods and gods are all close to each other. Let's not talk about whether we can fight or not. If fought, a series of immortals will appear in the East. And Hades only had a few men, and the Western gods each had their own ideas. I wish I could be solved by the Eastern god. Especially the man with his head in the cross-border gate. Hades believed that he could not resist any move. It's better to just leave. The Underworld warrior, come with me. Hades waved his hand, and then remembered Luemu's appearance in his mind. No matter who you offend in the future, you can't offend Lumu. Etc. Hades trembled, not understanding why the man in the air wanted to stop him. But now that he had spoken, Hades didn't dare to take a step. I wonder what the senior has to say, Hades said flatteringly. Close the door. Okay. Hades breathed a sigh of relief and almost thought he was going to explain it here. Since he let himself go, Hades ran away without stopping. The other side, Ziwan's hands and feet were grabbed by the 4 demons, and she flew upside down. Even if there is a god inside Ziwan at this time. But he couldn't break free from the shackles of the 4 ghosts. The energy in his mouth was constantly being absorbed by Lumu, and it was continuously fed into Luemu's body. But Shion was not in a hurry. Because this place is just a phantom, even if they are all sucked, it will only hurt your mind. When he recovers, he can still find opportunities to sneak attack and devour Lumu. But at this moment, there was a sudden sound of chains mopping the floor. And the surroundings became colder. I saw 2 figures, one black and one white, appearing in front of me. The scary thing was that the 2 figures were dragging their long tongues and looked very human. Moreover, the 2 of them wore 2 tall hats with writing on them respectively. Make money at first sight. Peace in the world. Black and white are impermanent. I saw black and white Wuchang smiling evilly in front of Ziwan, and then a chain directly penetrated Ziwan's body. Shion didn't take it seriously at first. But the next second, his pupils shrank sharply. My body is locked. Across the void, he trapped himself in countless planes. And no matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free. Arrest. Black and white Wuchang snorted, then grabbed the chain and pulled hard. A shadow was pulled out directly. It was the god who borrowed Shion's body. The god kept waving his fists, but while being chained, he was unable to exert any divine power at all. Without her supernatural powers, she is just an ordinary female ghost. Mission completed. As soon as Black and White Wuchang finished speaking, the 2 of them disappeared from the place with their gods. After losing the possession of the god, Ziwan regained her consciousness. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw Luemu's face. And the 2 of them were extremely close. You can even feel the other person's breathing. Ziwan couldn't help but swallowed a mouthful of saliva, but she realized the seriousness of the problem the next second. His face suddenly turned red. Ziwan wanted to struggle, but her limbs were grabbed by 4 ferocious-looking monsters, and no matter how hard she struggled, it was of no avail. I almost fainted from fright at that time. But there were still strange things swimming around, which made Ziwan refreshed again. Unsatisfied tears flowed from the corners of his eyes. It flowed from the forehead to the hair, and finally dripped down. Lumu finally reacted and hurriedly separated from Ziwan. Then he touched his red and swollen mouth and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Shion, are you okay? Before asking me if I'm okay, can you put me down first? Ziwan said while sobbing. This made Lumu feel embarrassed. Then he hurriedly ordered the demons and monsters to put Ziwan down. But as soon as Ziwan landed, countless transparent little snakes rushed over, making Ziwan, who was already nervous, jump in fright. Ziwan finally understood what was moving just now. An expression of despair suddenly appeared on his face. Lumu once again showed an expression of self-blame on his face, quickly canceled the substitute technique, and laughed sheepishly. The transparent snake disappeared, but the ground surged, and the terracotta warriors and horses climbed up from the ground one after another. In just a few breaths, hundreds of terracotta warriors and horses appeared in front of Lumu. Is this your ninjutsu too? Shion said angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, an astonishing energy came from the mountain peak not far away, and a black air instantly covered the entire sky. I am finally resurrected, and this time I will definitely destroy the world. No, the devil has resurrected. It's too late to seal him. I'm afraid the world will be over. Ziwan said desperately. The demon was very sad. Although they are called monsters, they are very different from those in the East. And since it was sealed for the first time, every time the seal is lifted, a woman wearing a red and white witch costume will seal herself again. Although he has lived for thousands of years, he has never actually seen the sun for even one day. He has always lived in a seal. But this time it's different. Just when I broke out of the seal, I didn't even see the nightmare-like red and white witch costume. Immediately, the demon felt like crying with joy. My own time has finally come. This time, I have to stay silent and enjoy the baptism of sunshine. Then change your mind and become a devil with ideals who is useful to the world. After all, it was too lonely in the seal. As for the words he shouted just now, they were just an expression of the 1,000-year dissatisfaction in his heart. But after the demon came out, something felt wrong. Although I didn't see the figure of the witch, I didn't feel the breath of the witch's power. But there was an aura of terror all around. The gods of the east, and the gods of the west. If the surrounding land hadn't been intact, the monsters would have thought that a war between gods had just occurred here. There are even gods that have fallen here. The demon laughed evilly, imagining in his mind the scene of the death of the god behind the witch. But after thinking about it, he smiled bitterly. How easy is it to kill a god? At this moment, the demon saw Ziwan not far away, and his heart skipped a beat. But he recovered immediately. A witch can seal herself only when it is most important for her to break the seal. As long as the seal is broken, the Miko will have nothing to do with herself. Moreover, Ziwan seems to have lost the blessing of the gods. She doesn't even have any power as a Miko. This makes the monster even more unscrupulous. Suddenly, a bold idea suddenly came into mind. These witches have sealed themselves for thousands of years, and this time they come out and want to seal them too. Seal them for 10 years. Not 100 years. The demon walked over with a smirk, and the whole earth trembled with every step he took. Not long after, he came to Ziwan's side. The demon lowered his head and looked down at Ziwan. Seeing Ziwan's face turned pale with fright, she suddenly became excited. It feels so good. I haven't felt this way for a long time. But the strange thing is, why is this witch still holding 2 sausages in her mouth? Miko, you are very rude. After the demon finished speaking, he saw Lumu standing there with an indifferent expression. It seems that he doesn't take himself seriously at all. And there are 2 sausages hanging in his mouth. Boy, you are also very rude. But I am in a good mood today, so I won't kill you too. 50 years of sealing is enough. How about it? Please be merciful to your uncle. After saying this, the demon felt happy in his heart. But at this moment, 4 black shadows floated out, making the demon couldn't help but tremble. I heard that your name is Demon. A hoarse voice, accompanied by murderous intent, spread out and enveloped the demon. The demon raised his head in confusion. But when he saw the monsters floating in the air, his feet couldn't help but soften and he almost fell to the ground. Each of the 4 figures possesses endless murderous aura. And their strength is completely unclear. Obviously several times higher than himself. For a moment, the demon roared in his heart. I shouldn't be at the top of the food chain in the ninja world. Why did 4 monsters appear all of a sudden? Everyone is better than themselves. And it seems that none of them are easy to get along with. You think it's a coincidence or not, the 4 of us together are called demons and monsters, and you alone have the word, monster, you are really a tiger. The demons and demons surrounded the demons and demons in the middle. No one repeated it, and it kept ringing in the ears like surround sound. The monsters were almost crying. There's nothing I can do about calling him Pingxi. It's the name given by his parents. If he had known, calling him this name would offend the 4 people in front of him. I changed my name a long time ago. I'm just passing by here. You see I look so kind, why can I have any bad thoughts? The demon said with a sad face. At this moment, a majestic voice came out from the sky. That's not what you just said. The demon subconsciously raised his head, and when he saw Lumu leaning half out of the cross-border door, he felt like dying. God. A god countless times more powerful than the god behind the Miko. As long as he takes action, let alone die, his soul will be wiped out. Immediately, the demon hurriedly knelt down and Ziwan forced herself. There was a flattering expression on his face. Isn't it your job, Miko, to seal me? Hurry up and seal me. I'm good at sealing. Hurry up. Don't be too slow, I'm in a hurry. Shion was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that he was ready to sacrifice his life to seal the demon. At this time, he actually begged himself to seal him. This made Ziwan unable to react at once, and it seemed that everything she had done before was in vain. And Ziwan is even more convinced. Lumu is the person who can change his destiny. Traveling back from the future just to be with myself. Then Ziwan touched her mouth. Although it hurt, she no longer resisted as before. Hey Miko, why are you touching the sausage? Hurry up and seal me. I have already drawn the strongest sealing circle. You just need to input the power of the Miko. The demon looked at Ziwan fawningly. I don't know when, a huge formation has been painted on the ground. The complexity is as complex as carving a complete Hokage cliff on a grain of rice. The demon suddenly became anxious when he saw Ziwan not speaking for a long time. Miko, what are you thinking about? You Miko have been passing on from generation to generation just to seal me. How come you have no understanding at all? Okay, I'm already lying in the middle of the formation. You just need to input a little bit of the power of the witch. After saying that, the demon lay in the middle of the formation and looked at Ziwan expectantly. My Miko power is gone. Shion said awkwardly. The power of a witch is originally a belief in the gods and the feedback they receive from the gods. But now the god that Ziwan believed in has fallen. Without the feedback energy from the gods, Shion's power as a witch disappeared. In other words, Shion has become an ordinary girl. Without the ability to seal demons, there is no ability to divine life and death. Just an ordinary girl. The monster was dumbfounded. Obviously, the witches have sealed themselves countless times, even if they sacrifice their lives. But it happened to be here at Ziwan. It turned out that she no longer had the power of a Miko. This is simply killing me. Immediately, the demon kept checking Ziwan's body, but the more he checked, the worse his face became. I really can't feel the power of a Miko at all. You are the worst Miko I have ever seen. Seeing that Ziwan lost her sealing ability, the demon smiled and looked at the demon. Brothers, I can actually explain it clearly. Everything that happened just now was a misunderstanding. I chose my name because of my admiration for these eldest brothers. If you admire us, you mean you look down on us two demons. For a moment, the demon was so frightened that his whole body started to tremble. At this moment, Ziwan suddenly took a few steps and knelt down towards Lumu in the air. Now that the gods we believe in have fallen, the meaning of the shrine's existence is gone. But I hope that the shrine can survive, so I hope you can accept us and let us, the country of ghosts, believe in you and become your most devout people. Ziyuan looked expectantly at Lumu in the air. If the god enshrined in the shrine dies, the shrine will become a complete display. Then the shrine maidens originally in the shrine will completely lose their use value. A lifetime of learning how to serve the gods. If these witches suddenly become ordinary people, most witches will never be able to adapt. If you're lucky, you can find someone to live with. If you are not lucky, you can only do some shady jobs. Especially like Ziwan. Throughout the ages, people have become great witches in order to seal away demons. If you become an ordinary person, you will definitely be very popular. So Ziwan is kneeling down now, firstly for herself, and secondly for the shrine maidens as a whole. As long as the gods are willing to accept it, then the shrine can continue to operate. Lumu in the air was silent for a long time, and finally nodded slightly. Okay, from now on, you are the saint of this shrine, and your mission is to seal this monster. Hearing Luemu's announcement, Aster's body suddenly flashed with light blue light. A powerful force filled Ziwan's body. A look of surprise appeared on Ziwan's face. She didn't expect to agree so easily. And Shion found out. The energy fed back this time was much more than the previous god. Not only did he regain his sealing ability and divination ability, he even felt that his combat ability had also been greatly improved. He even had the confidence to smash the demon's Tianling cap directly with one punch. This is the feedback given by God. Just when Ziwan was about to kowtow to thank God, the demon next to her also kowtowed excitedly. You can even vaguely see tears of excitement flowing from the corners of the demon's eyes. Thank you for the gift, Lord God. I will definitely come out on time and ask the Miko to seal me. I will never resist, and I will also play all kinds of tricks. Ziyuan's mouth twitched. I have never seen such a spineless devil. It's so embarrassing. It's just a licking dog. Ziwan shook her head helplessly. Now the gods have arranged a task, which is to seal the monsters, and now is the time to perform it. Okay, I'll seal you now. There was an expression of ecstasy on the demon's face. I finally have to escape from this hellish place and I can finally return to my own nest. All it takes is a little energy. 30 years later I will come out and play a supporting role. Shion nodded slightly. Then a surging power of the witch poured out of her hands and poured into the formation. For a moment, there was a black spell on the ground. It lit up in an instant. There was an expression of ecstasy on the demon's face, but his expression changed in the next second. Although this formation only needs to input a little bit of witch power, it can work. But even with all the strength of Shion, the demon can easily break through. But the premise is the energy of previous Mikos. And this moment, the energy in Ziwan's body was like a sea, pouring out in waves, appearing endlessly. If we continue, let alone 30 years, I might not be able to get out even if it takes 300 years. Let me go, stop inputting energy, it's too much. If this continues, I won't be able to get out at all. The monster kept struggling. If it were before, if I didn't come out, I wouldn't come out. Anyway, it wouldn't delay this matter. But we just agreed to come out once every 30 years. If you can't do it, then you are deceiving the gods, and you are blaspheming. The demons did not have the courage to face the wrath of God again. Then he kept knocking on the ceiling light beam, hoping that Ziwan could find it. Otherwise, we will definitely have to break the seal day and night. After a while, the light beam disappeared. The demon was like an epiphyllum, it only appeared for a moment and then was sealed again. Now that all the enemies have disappeared, Lumu quickly cancelled the monsters and clones. After all, these two here were quite scary. As the gods in the sky disappeared, everyone suddenly felt relaxed. Although the god above his head just now was not specifically targeting anyone, the aura emitted from his body was intentional or unintentional. For Loquat Juzo and others, it is equivalent to disaster. Especially Goju Yagura. Even after he transformed into a tailed beast, he was still so overwhelmed that he couldn't breathe. Fortunately, Lumu withdrew in time. Otherwise, someone might actually be scared to death here. However, no one present had any complaints. Instead, they showed excited expressions. The shrine maidens knew that they would serve such a powerful god next. A sense of honor suddenly arose in my heart. Especially being able to see gods at such a close distance is something that is definitely not something that happens once in a few lifetimes. Loquat Juzang and others were even more excited. From now on, working with a divine envoy like Lumu is equivalent to working for the gods. During the mission, you will definitely receive the blessing of the gods. Maybe I can get to the next level on ninjutsu. At this time, Ziwan looked at Lumu with a blushing face. Although the position of the Great Miko will bring you a lot of rights, sometimes even higher than the rights of the daimyo of the country of ghosts. But there is an obligation that must be observed. Before the age of 20, if the gods or divine messengers do not appear, then the Great Witch can get married and have children, and then train the next generation of Great Witches. But if a god or a messenger appears before the age of 20, then you must give up everything and serve the gods or divine messengers wholeheartedly. At this time, Ziwan was under 20, and Lumu appeared again. In other words, my mission after sealing the demon is to take good care of Lumu. To obtain more blessings from the gods. Thinking of this, Ziwan's face turned redder. However, Ziwan was not disgusted at all, but instead had a trace of expectation. After all, a man travels through time and space to find you. Isn't it worth entrusting him with his life? The most important thing is that he is so good. On behalf of all the shrine maidens in the kingdom of ghosts, I offer my faith to the gods. After Ziwan finished speaking, all the witches knelt down again. Piety is written all over their faces. When Lumu was about to help Ziwan, a system voice suddenly came to his ears. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for gaining 7 fanatic believers, 18 believers, and 71 pan believers. The believer gate is contributing faith to the host, and will receive corresponding rewards after the contribution is completed. Lumu was dumbfounded. I originally thought that I was just showing up in name. Unexpectedly, he actually had a believer, and the faith points that were supposed to be given to the clone actually went to himself. What Lumu is looking forward to most now is what reward he can get this time. Ding dong. Faith extraction completed. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining the Jonin quality. Congratulations to host for getting the superior ninjutsu gift pack. Congratulations to host for obtaining Bloodline, Byakugan. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the special ninjutsu, Shadow Imitation Technique. Congratulations to host for getting the special ninjutsu, Heart Turning Jutsu. Congratulations to host for getting the special ninjutsu, Expansion Jutsu. Seeing the reward prompted by the system, Lumu couldn't help but get excited. The first is Jonin quality. After acquiring Jonin's qualities, his speed, physical strength, chakra reaction ability, all are improved to Jonin's basic level. In other words, even without relying on special effects, Lumu is still a ninja in his own right. Although there is no chance of winning against the veteran Jonin. But after all, Lumu is only 13 years old now, and there is still a lot of room for development. The second is the blood inheritance boundary White Eyes. The bloodline boundary can only be passed down through blood. Although it is possible to seize other people's bloodline boundary through special means, due to physical reasons, it is impossible to display the full strength of the bloodline boundary. The system rewards are different. It has exactly the same effect as members of the bloodline boundary family. If you roll your eyes, it is definitely within the strategic level of blood inheritance. As long as the Byakugan is open, one can have a 360-degree field of vision around him with no blind spots. You can catch each other better. In other words, the enemy will no longer be able to sneak attack Lumu. But I already have Sharingan, and I don't know how the system will handle it. Then comes the Ninjutsu Gift Pack. The Advanced Ninjutsu Gift Pack contains many common ninjutsu. What is the ninja competition? Isn't it a competition to see who has more ninjutsu, and then show off? Third Hokage. Why is Sarutobi Hiruzen strong? What is strong is his knowledge reserve. Most of the ninjutsu in the ninja world are mastered and can be cast easily. In this way, you will have more means when dealing with enemies. Finally, Lumu was the most surprised. That's the special ninjutsu of the Anar, Deer, and Butterfly family. Special ninjutsu is the ninjutsu that non-bloodline families rely on for their survival. Although it may not be 100% strong. But as long as it is used in the right place, it can definitely be several times more effective than ordinary ninjutsu. This type of ninjutsu is not included in the ninjutsu gift pack. The rewards this time are definitely a bumper harvest. Then Lumu quickly clicked accept. The moment after clicking again, Lumu felt countless memories pouring into his mind. Whether it was ninjutsu's seal formation methods or small techniques, they were all engraved in his mind, as if each ninjutsu had been performed countless times. Then Lumu felt his whole body become hot. Even the skin turned dark red. The chakra in the body also grows rapidly. In just a few seconds, the editor reached Jonin's content. Finally, Lumu felt twinges of pain in his eyes, and Sharingan was turned on directly under Lumu's control. 3 Magatama in the middle of Sharingan. It turned white in an instant. It lasted for about a few seconds and then returned to its original state. The whole body transformation took less than a minute. Lumu looked at himself with satisfaction. In this minute, his strength has been qualitatively improved, and he is completely different from his previous self. Lumu came to his senses. It was found that Ziwan and others were still kneeling on the ground. I felt embarrassed. The shrine had just been destroyed, and the ground was full of debris and stones. I was afraid my knees would be broken after kneeling for so long. Then Lumu quickly waved his hand. Everyone get up. Everyone stood up one after another and looked at Lumu with admiration. Lumu's mouth twitched. I feel like a monkey in the zoo now, being watched by countless people. Made me feel uncomfortable all over. Besides, the shrine was destroyed and I had no place to live. It was time to leave the country of ghosts. Shion, the reconstruction and maintenance of the shrine will be left to you. It's time for me to leave. Ziwan looked at Lumu reluctantly, with a hint of loss in her eyes. How much I wanted to follow Lumu. But he also knows very well what his responsibilities are. Then he secretly decided in his heart. After the construction of the shrine is completed, you must go to Lumu. Only by following Lumu yourself as a great witch can you serve him better. Got it. Lumu nodded with satisfaction, and then summoned Loquat Shazang and others to his side. You should verify your ideas before the special effects materialization date expires. After everyone came to Lumu's side, Lumu immediately used the teleportation technique. I saw the scene in front of me being infinitely zoomed in, and then I took everyone one step ahead. The next second everyone appeared directly in the Kingdom of Rain. After a month, Lumu returned to the Kingdom of Rain again. Feeling the rain falling in the sky, I felt relieved and felt like I was home. Asking Loquat Juzang to take the new members to report, Lumu walked towards his house. Just as I was preparing for the gate of opening, I recalled the scene when I went home before, and immediately opened my eyes. Suddenly the scene in front of me suddenly changed. The wall suddenly became like glass, and you could see through it without any obstruction. There is no one in the entrance hall, no one in the living room, no one in the kitchen, no one in the toilet. But when he saw the bedroom, Lumu couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. As expected, Conan is here. I saw Conan holding Luemu's quilt with all four limbs, and his face was filled with joy. Lumu quickly opened the door. But the moment the door was opened, the sound of bells rang in the room, one after another directly reaching the bedroom. For a moment, there was the sound of someone falling in the bedroom, then there was a burst of urgent footsteps, and finally there was the sound of the window being opened. Lumu stood there, watching Conan jump in front of him. What was most difficult for Lumu to accept was Conan was currently wearing Luemu's pajamas. The corner of Luemu's mouth twitched. No wonder he felt wrinkled every time he changed into pajamas. His feelings were caused by Conan. Conan, have you forgotten that the window of my room leads right outside the door? Conan's heart skipped a beat. How could you not know? After all, you have to dig into it every day. But this time I was really too anxious. It was obviously estimated that he should still be in the Kingdom of Water now. Why did he come back all of a sudden? No chance of preparation at all. Master, please listen to my explanation. I'm just cleaning the room for you. Luemu's mouth twitched. Do you need to wear pajamas to clean the room? And it's Luemu's pajamas. Lumu snorted coldly and strode towards the inside of the house. Seeing this, Conan suddenly became anxious. Master, I haven't finished cleaning your house yet, why don't you wait and go in again? Conan tried to stop Lumu. But Lumu didn't give Conan a chance at all. Walking into the entrance hall, Lumu looked around and saw that the room was clean without a trace of dust. It had obviously been carefully cleaned. Lumu then checked the kitchen, toilet, etc., and found that every place was clean without leaving any stains. It's obvious that Conan put a lot of effort into cleaning. For a moment, Lumu felt moved in his heart. When I go out to do tasks, there are people who keep cleaning the house for me. In Luemu's memory, only his mother would do this. There is a feeling of home. I also regretted it in my heart. Wasn't it too cruel to Conan just now? Thank you for your work. After Lumu finished speaking, he found that Conan was sweating profusely and his energy was not focused on Lumu at all. Instead, he blocked the bedroom door intentionally or unintentionally. Conan, you're lucky, but I'm tired from the journey and want to go back to the room to rest. After Lumu finished speaking, he wanted to open the bedroom door. But Conan was faster than Lumu and posted it directly on the door in large fonts with an inexplicable smile on his face. Master, I have cleaned the whole house, but I haven't cleaned this bedroom yet. Why don't you go and rest on the sofa first? I will finish it soon. Lumu frowned. The more nervous Conan is, the more likely it is that there will be problems later. It is obviously impossible to just go in directly. Okay, then I'm going to go sleep on the sofa for a while. Just wake me up after cleaning. Hearing Luemu's words, Conan breathed a sigh of relief. But the moment Conan relaxed, Lumu opened the door directly. The view in the room was immediately unobstructed. The room is also very clean, whether it is the windowsill or the seams, they are all wiped clean. But the ground was a mess. There were clothes scattered all over the floor. Except for Conan's suit, the rest belonged to Lumu. What was most unacceptable to Lumu was the paper balls. The paper balls that had been needed after use were scattered all over the floor, even more than the clothes on the floor. I have no idea what Conan did. Lumu was about to scold him when Conan knelt down with a thud and made a perfect earth seat. Master, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Lumu smiled helplessly. How dare I blame Conan? Conan is Pain's childhood sweetheart. I really want to punish him for Pain jumping out first. Just in this kneeling position. I'm afraid I have to let Pain come up and fight for his life. Fortunately, Pain isn't here. Just when Lumu breathed a sigh of relief and was about to help Conan up, the door was suddenly pushed open. Senior, I used ninjutsu to feel that you are back. Do you want to participate in the second Akatsuki organization conference tomorrow? Luemu's pajamas, what about Conan's clothes? The clothes on Luemu's body clearly showed signs of fighting, and there were paper balls everywhere on the ground. For a moment, Payne's head was spinning rapidly. Then he took a step back and immediately closed the door. Too hasty, Payne said to himself, and then his whole body trembled. It seemed that from the time he found out Lumu was back to the time he opened the door, it only took 2 or 3 minutes. Is this the end? For a moment, Payne felt distressed. Unexpectedly, Lumu would empty his body at such a young age for the Akatsuki organization and the ninja world. The Akatsuki organization has also made a little money recently. Definitely look for the best doctor. If it doesn't work, I will tie up Tsunade and cure Luemu's disease no matter what. After all, Lumu has paid too much and must repay him well. Payne thought and got up and flew. Lumu ignored him completely and chased him out, calling his name non-stop. After all, as a man, it is always difficult to talk about this matter. It is normal for someone to want to explain when they are discovered. Lumu watched Payne fly away stupidly, and suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of crisis in his heart. Early the next morning, the sky is clear in the land of rain. In order to celebrate the establishment of Akatsuki organization, Payne specially closed ninjutsu, allowing the land of rain to enjoy the baptism of the sun again. The villagers in the country of rain now had happy faces on their faces. After more than a year, the villagers of the rain country have completely accepted the Akatsuki organization. After all, under the leadership of Payne, the kingdom of rain is getting better and better. The only unpleasant thing is that it rains 24 hours a day. A change of clothes is hard to dry. Under the service of Conan and Haidu, Lumu solemnly put on the red cloud and black coat. Step by step, he walked towards the venue. Goju Yagura officially joined the Akatsuki organization yesterday, and the red cloud and black coat he wears is also borrowed from Goju Juzo. Looking at the prosperity of the rain country, it was even suspected that the Kingdom of Rain was one of the 5 major countries, while the Kingdom of Water was just a small country living in the cracks. Especially the Mandarin orange found in Yagura. Every ninja here has a face full of hope and vitality, which makes Goju Yagura's blood boil. This kind of mental outlook can only be achieved by Konoha, who has the best brainwashing skills. And Godachibana Yagura also discovered. There are several powerful masters in the Akatsuki organization. As the 4th Mizukage of the Land of Water, I am not even ranked among the top 3 in terms of strength. You know, this has already included turning into a tailed beast. Such a powerful team, coupled with Lumu, might really be able to bring the ninja world into a peaceful era. But no matter what you say, you can reduce your guilt. Godachibana Yagura, right, you're the intern who just joined yesterday. Go to the intern-only area. The ninja commanded Godachibana Yagura. But this did not make Goju Yagura feel unhappy, on the contrary, he was very willing to accept this. No matter how high your status was before, how strong is oneself. But just joining is just joining. Only with rules can we make a circle. If Goju Yagura is given special treatment, it will make her feel unhappy. Goju Yagura followed the instructions and quickly found his position. Everyone's name is also written on the seat. As long as you are not blind, you can basically sit in the wrong seat. To the left of Godachibana Yagura were Kisame and Momochi Zabuza, who came from the Land of Water together. Seeing Goju Yagura arriving, he immediately waved his hand. Mizukage-sama, you are finally here. I was worried that you would feel uncomfortable if you were assigned to the internship period. Don't make fun of me, there is no 4th Mizukage here, only Goju Yagura, do you understand? Goju Yagura frowned and said displeased. Kisame and Momochi Zabuza heard this and immediately closed their mouths. I know. But this guy Loquat Juzang, because he joined early, now has a very high status in the organization, and can directly sit in the first row of official members. What are you talking about? Give me a year and I will definitely be able to sit on some of the chairs above. For a while, the 3 of them chatted passionately. Soon the venue was almost full. But the position on the right side of Goju Yagura has always been empty. Goju Yagura looked at the name on the chair and couldn't help laughing. A fae, a ninja with this name might not be serious. The second Akatsuki organization conference has officially begun. With Conan's announcement, the entire venue went completely crazy. After a year of hard work by everyone, the growth of Akatsuki organization is visible to the naked eye. Those who felt it the most were the original ninjas and villagers of the Rain country. A year ago, the Kingdom of Rain was still a sad little country. A year later, even the shadows from the 5 major countries joined the Akatsuki organization. This was definitely a qualitative leap. As long as it continues to develop, it will definitely become the 6th largest country. I won't say anything. First, let's report the results of the whole year. First, invite Loquat Juzang to report. Loquat Juzang stood up, turned his head and looked at everyone with his chest raised. Confidence is written on his face. I won't say much else, but I will mention 2 points. I accompanied Senior Lu to win over the 4th Mizukage to join the Akatsuki organization, and gained the favor of the Land of Water and the Land of Ghosts. After Loquat Juzang finished speaking, everyone showed envious eyes. What everyone envies is not what Loquat Juzo has done. But Loquat Shizang had the opportunity to accompany Lumu to complete the mission. This kind of opportunity makes everyone envious and beat their chests. I really don't understand why Loquat Juzang has such good luck. After Loquat Juzo finished speaking, Kakuzu stood up next to him. Although his eyes were full of envy, there was also a hint of disdain. Loquat Juzang is on a mission this time. It's completely gold-plated. With Lumu here, any task can be easily accomplished. I didn't do anything that meaningful. I just earned 6 billion in revenue for the Akatsuki organization. Everyone gasped. Compared to Loquat Juzo's report, Kakuzu's report this time was really much. After all, the money Kakuzu earns is enough to make a small country rich for a year or 2. If it becomes food, in the country of Rain, I probably won't have to think about food for more than a year. The most important thing is that Kakuzu made all the money alone. One person can support a country, which is enough to prove Kakuzu's ability. But today's protagonist is destined not to be Kakuzu. Conan slowly stood up and was ready to start reporting. This year I spent 6 billion to hoard enough detonating charms for everyone. As long as there is a battle, I can mobilize enough detonating charms immediately to catch the enemy by surprise. Conan had just finished his report. Kakuzu's mouth twitched and his eyes stared at Conan. All the money I had worked so hard to earn was lost to this fool. Thanks to Conan. If it were anyone else, Kakuzu would have jumped up and killed him. After Conan finished his report, Shie stood up. For a while, the venue was completely quiet. Scorpion's status is different from others because Scorpion was brought by Lumu himself. Moreover, Lumu's deeds and intentions, most of them come from the mouth of the Scorpion. In particular, almost all new members are educated by Scorpio. Therefore, apart from Lumu and Pain, Scorpion has the highest status in the Kingdom of Rain. Sometimes he even feels like he's surpassing Pain. I didn't do anything. Within 1 year, I just let the new members who joined the organization better understand the goals of the Akatsuki organization. I also let everyone know more about Senior Lu. Scorpion just finished speaking. The entire venue burst into thunderous applause. A pair of eyes looked at Scorpion excitedly. Godachibana Yagura couldn't help but applaud. After yesterday's brainwashing, Godachibana Yagura has a greater sense of belonging to the Akatsuki organization. Especially knowing Lumu's deeds. Guju Yagura was completely devastated. Coupled with what he had seen before, he completely turned into Lu Kui. Oh my, it just so happens that Senior Scorpion is talking again. Fortunately, I'm not late. The sudden sound startled Godachibana Yagura. As the 4th Mizukage, Yagura's strength is definitely among the top. The insight ability is also very strong. Being able to approach Goju Yagura silently without being discovered is something I can count on my fingers. But it happened that the one next door was named a Fae. It can appear suddenly. If a Fae hadn't spoken, he probably wouldn't have been discovered in a short time. Are all the interns at Akatsuki organization so awesome? Goju Yagura is very happy that she joined the Akatsuki organization, but she really dislikes a Fae. After all, I can be late for such an important occasion. So as a teammate, he is definitely the most unreliable one. But Goju Yagura was very curious about what this late guy looked like. At least when we form a team in the future. Never choose to be with him. But when Goji Yagura turned around to look, his whole body trembled. Hong Yun wears a black coat and an orange swirl mask on his face. Isn't this a fool who used divination to cast genjutsu on himself? Have we met before? Goju Yagura said solemnly. Uchiha Obito shuddered. Since I came through the Kamui space, I didn't pay attention to who was around me. But when I saw Goju Yagura, I couldn't help but tremble. If you don't just work as a Mizukage in the land of water, why did you come to the land of rain and become an intern of the Akatsuki organization? Although he knows Yagura, Uchiha Obito dare not recognize him. The first self is now the character of Afei. How could an intern know such a big shot as 4th Mizukage? The second Wolfberry, Yagura-ke, was deceived quite miserably by himself. After being hit by genjutsu, the entire kingdom of water was in chaos. And now that Goji Yagura's eyes are clear, it is obvious that genjutsu has cracked it. If he was recognized, he would never be able to stop it. After all, Goju Yagura has cage-level strength. If you really want to take action, you will definitely not get any benefits. Well, after all, I am the veteran of the Akatsuki organization, so it is inevitable to get to know each other. Uchiha Obito touched the back of his head with one hand, and then laughed. So do you know how to genjutsu? Goju Yagura sneered. If it weren't for divination, I would have been deceived by the man in front of me. But how could we let him go now? Genjutsu. I know how to do it. There are many ninjutsu, including the technique of throwing all the shurikens, the technique of throwing all the shurikens, the technique of inverted melon and umbrella lizard. Ale, isn't it funny? That's funny, let's go out now and see your ninjutsu. Goju Yagura said. Chakra appeared all over his body. Extremely angry, Goji Yagura no longer cares about the occasion. I just want to end Afei now. The thick chakra immediately attracted everyone's attention. Deidara was reporting on his explosive art. Seeing the scene in front of me, my nerves suddenly exploded. Hey, you two interns are despising my explosive art. Deidara roared angrily. Everyone fell silent, except Uchiha Obito and Goju Yagura, who continued to be at war with each other. Scorpion saw such a grand scene. I still wanted to perform well in front of Lumu, but now I was disrupted by two interns, and there was a murderous look on my body. Pain sneered. Fei's desire to control the Akatsuki organization has never been extinguished. I didn't expect that he would cause trouble in such a serious and grand scene. This is definitely the best time to deal with him. Although Fei's strength is very amazing. Even if I have the reincarnation eye, I don't dare to underestimate him. But he has a fatal weakness. Don't dare to reveal your strength. The Akatsuki organization is a family that loves each other. As long as you put on this sacred red cloud coat, all previous grievances should be abandoned. But since you are all interns, I give you a chance to resolve your grievances. Hear what Pain said. Goji Yagura's face suddenly showed an expression of ecstasy. Since Pain agreed, there was no need for him to hold back, and the chakra on his body exploded immediately. The unsuspecting Uchiha Obito was directly knocked away by this energy. Even the mask had several cracks. For a moment, Uchiha Obito became solemn. If he continues to fight as Afei, there is absolutely no chance of him winning. Maybe he will also perish. So we absolutely cannot continue to pretend. For a time, the chakra on Uchiha Obito's body continued to surge, and the originally sharp voice became deeper. Uchiha Yagura, I'm very curious, how did you find out that you were hit by genjutsu? Uchiha Obito sneered. And this sentence also directly admitted that he was the user of genjutsu. Sure enough, it's you. In order to kill so many ninjas in Kurigakure village, I must kill you today. Goji Yagura said angrily. Here Uchiha Obito admit it. Loquat Juzo, who was forced to rebel from the Kingdom of Water, came out, as did Kisame Kisame and Momochi Zabuza. 4 people directly surrounded Uchiha Obito in the middle. The air was filled with the smell of gunpowder, and it could explode at any time. Uchiha Obito sneered. Then he jumped directly to a high place and looked at everyone below proudly. Since the strength can no longer be hidden, if he were to be completely exposed directly, he might even have a chance to gain control of the Akatsuki organization. Hello fellow colleagues, I would like to introduce myself again. My name is Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Obito said, removing his mask a little, revealing those blood-red eyes. Uchiha Madara, a survivor of that era. How is it possible that Uchiha Madara is alive? The venue was boiling for a while. No one wants to believe that the usually funny and mentally ill intern is actually Uchiha Madara. So most people look at Uchiha Obito like an idiot. Uchiha Obito sneered, then put on the mask. I know you don't believe it, but the next scene will force you to believe it. Uchiha Obito said, the chakra on his body surged. Uchiha Obito, who originally seemed to have only Chunin strength, instantly reached Kage-level strength. Sharingan, who was under the mask, was spinning non-stop at this time. The next second everyone felt stiff all over. I couldn't move my body at all, and couldn't even lift my fingers. Such a strong genjutsu, is this man really Uchiha Madara? This is the power of Uchiha Madara. Everyone suddenly became frightened. Uchiha Madara is a man who can fight back and forth with the ninja god Senju Hashirama. It can be said that every ninja knows the legend of Uchiha Madara. But who knew, I would actually be able to see Uchiha Madara at this time. At this time, even Goju Yagura was moved. If it were anyone else, Goju Yagura would definitely have the confidence to fight. But what if it was Uchiha Madara? He didn't even have the courage to pick up the ninja tool. After all, the Kingdom of Water was defeated by this man during its strongest period. Even the 3 tails inside me. It was also donated by Konoha village. To let herself fight that godlike man, Goju Yagura really couldn't muster the courage. Seeing everyone's reaction, Uchiha Obito nodded with satisfaction. Then he quickly put away the genjutsu. He walked towards Pain step by step. Pen, don't you think it would be better for me to manage the Akatsuki organization? After all, I led the Fire Nation and penetrated the entire ninja world. Pain suddenly became serious. At first, he was just preparing to force Uchiha Obito to reveal his strength. Unexpectedly, he was directly forced into the palace. If Lumu wanted the position of leader of the Akatsuki organization, Pain would definitely hand it over without a second thought. After all, Lumu is more in line with the requirements of the leader of the Akatsuki organization, both in terms of strength and kindness to the world. But if it was the man in front of me, it would be different. Although Uchiha Obito is powerful enough, his policies are completely different from those of the Akatsuki organization. If it comes to the Akatsuki organization, leave it to him. Then the entire ninja world may fall into war again. What if I say no? Pain said with murderous intent. 5 people jumped out instantly from behind. It was the other 5 people from Six Paths Reincarnation. Obviously ready to fight at any time. Uchiha Obito couldn't help but take a step back. In the one-eyed state, he is definitely no match for Pain's 6 paths. And once the fight starts, all ninjas will figure out their own strength, and Uchiha Madara's aura will completely lose its effect. When the time comes, his opponent will not be just Pain, but the entire Akatsuki organization. Just at this time, Lumu, who was dressed up for the occasion, walked out step by step. Uchiha Obito's eyes lit up when he saw this. There is no suspense when Pain challenges you. The one I want to challenge is Lumu. Uchiha Obito felt proud after saying this. Although Luemu's strength was blown to the sky by Xie, after several observations, it was discovered that Luemu's strength was only between that of Chunin and Jonin. And if Lumu really has godlike strength, what else is needed to win over small countries? Just go to the 5 major countries and the entire ninja world will be leveled. What more strategy is needed? So Uchiha Obito thinks. Lumu is just an internet celebrity copied by Pain, relying on Luemu's reputation to continue to attract idol strength, in order to continue to strengthen the power of Akatsuki organization. Finally, to complete Pain's purpose. From the beginning to the end, Lumu never killed the opponent even once, which is the best proof. Although Lumu has no strength, but it has unprecedented popularity within the Akatsuki organization. As long as he defeats Lumu, his reputation will reach its peak, even surpassing that of Pain. Then it would be logical to take over the Akatsuki organization. Uchiha Obito couldn't help but sneer as he thought about it. Sorry Lumu, although you said you would help me deal with the Hitaki Kakashi matter, I still ask you to be a stepping stone. Lumu looked at Uchiha Obito inexplicably. Pointing at himself with one hand, a puzzled expression appeared on his face. Are you sure you want to fight me? Lumu looked at Uchiha Obito inexplicably. As soon as he arrived at the venue, he was called upon by someone, which made Lumu a little speechless. Although Lumu has no ill intentions towards sister Uchiha Obito. But now it is obviously being used as a stepping stone. If you lose in public, you will die socially even if you don't die. You want to challenge me? Yes, although you are strong, I, Uchiha Madara, am omnipotent, so I want to challenge you. The entire venue became angry for a while. It can be said that Lumu is the spiritual pillar of the entire Akatsuki organization. A divine and invincible existence. Now that I have been challenged and offended, how can I not get angry? But it was Uchiha Madara who came up with the challenge. A peerless strongman passed down from the previous era. For a moment, everyone became curious. In the end, who was the peerless powerhouse of the previous era? The arrival of immortals in this era is still very powerful. Okay, I promise you, but I want to change the venue to fight. Of course, as you wish. Uchiha Obito was stunned for a moment and looked at Lumu unexpectedly. According to his own inference, Lumu would never dare to accept the challenge. After all, the strength lies there. But Lumu agreed so simply that Uchiha Obito couldn't be fooled. Not long after, everyone arrived at the duel arena. As soon as he entered the venue, Uchiha Obito's whole body chakra was stimulated and he was ready to fight Lumu. At this time, Lumu stared at the roof and shook his head. It has a roof. This arena is too small. Let's find another one. Not long after, everyone changed the venue again. This time the venue was several times larger than before, and it was also open air. Uchiha Obito inspires chakra once again. Get ready for a fight. But Lumu glanced around and shook his head again. No, this is still too small. Lumu refused, and everyone had no choice but to change the playing field again. This time everyone came to the largest arena in the Kingdom of Rain. It is more than 10 times the size of the first competition venue. But Lumu Leon stopped before he even entered the competition venue. No, this is too close to a residential building. Let's change it. For a moment, Uchiha Obito was so angry that he was shaking all over. Now it is confirmed that Lumu is playing tricks on himself. The duel venue in front of me is already the largest duel venue in the Kingdom of Rain. It is used to test ninja team battles. If used one-on-one, it would be too big. But with such a big competition venue, Lumu actually felt that it was not possible. This is obviously a delaying tactic. To escape the ensuing battle. Don't delay. There is no duel venue bigger than this in the Land of Rain. According to your request, we can only fight in the wild. Uchiha Obito said dissatisfied. Hear the words of Uchiha Obito. Luemu's eyes immediately lit up, and then he kept nodding his head. Okay, let's go fight in the wild. Uchiha Obito, who was about to curse, immediately shut up, and then couldn't help laughing. After Luemu's series of operations, finally take the competition into the wild. Then there is only one reason, and that is Lumu wants to escape. But for Uchiha Obito, it doesn't matter whether Lumu runs or not, as long as he is the one standing at the end of this competition. Then there will be enough support to overthrow Pain's rule and completely take the Akatsuki organization into his own hands. Not long after, the group came to a huge plain surrounded by nothing but grass. The biggest feature is that it is large enough. You probably have nothing to say now, right? Uchiha Obito said gloomily. There was even a hint of excitement in his tone. Lumu looked around, then nodded slightly. Okay, that's it, but I still want to confirm. Are you sure you want to compete with me? Lumu said seriously. Luemu's words directly turned into a sign of weakness in Uchiha Obito's ears. What's more, he has no way out. Of course, when have I, Uchiha Madara, ever been afraid? Are you prepared to be defeated by me? Okay, let the competition begin. Everyone became excited for a moment. Anyone who joins the Akatsuki organization has heard of Luemu's reputation from Scorpion. But he has never seen Lumu actually take action. Especially on the other side, there is Uchiha Madara, who is as famous as the god of ninja. This is definitely the fight of the century. Well, get ready to accept my ninjutsu. Lumu clapped his hands as he spoke, and his eyes instantly showed a glimmer of light. Expansion Jutsu. As a burst of thick smoke rose, the entire open space was covered. It was as if a thick fog had descended. Visibility dropped directly to less than half a meter. Uchiha Obito sneered. In my memory, there is only one ninjutsu that can create such a thick fog. That is the hidden mist technique. In such an open place, it goes without saying that when you use the mist hidden technique, you will know that Lumu is ready to run away. However, Uchiha Obito is still preparing to step on Lumu and ascend to the throne. FF equals. How can you convince others if you ran away without even being beaten? Then Sharingan started running quickly. The surrounding thick fog kept gathering towards the right eye. It's like a whirlpool on the sea, constantly swallowing everything. Finally, all the dense fog was absorbed into the Kamui space, and Lumu, who was standing not far away, disappeared. Uchiha Obito frowned in dissatisfaction. Unexpectedly, Lumu moved so quickly, fled silently, and disappeared directly. Although he did not defeat Lumu in public, the deterrent effect will be reduced a lot. But it's not too different. At most, there will be some escape route when facing pain. Did you see that your god, Senior Lu, ran away after knowing my name, Uchiha Madara? Uchiha Obito shouted loudly. The tone was full of confidence. The Akatsuki organization member couldn't help but frown. Lumu is the spiritual pillar of the Akatsuki organization, and all ninjas regard Lumu as a god. But Lumu is like a god. When fighting Uchiha Madara, he didn't even have the courage to fight and ran away. So what do you insist on? What exactly have you been fighting for this year? Even Pain was confused at this point. A ninja as strong as Lumu was actually afraid of fighting Uchiha Madara. Could it be that the person in front of me is really Uchiha Madara? Is Uchiha Madara really that strong? For a moment, Pain lost his fighting spirit and lowered his head slightly. Uchiha Obito became proud when he saw this. The scene in front of me was much better than I imagined. Pain completely lost his fighting spirit. Moreover, after 1 year of development, Akatsuki organization has become very powerful. It is completely possible to implement the next plan. Capture the tailed beast. In particular, Citrus Tangerine Yagura is delivered to your door. Pain, please step aside and let me, Uchiha Madara, be the leader of the Akatsuki organization. I will never bury the Akatsuki organization, and you can realize your dreams ahead of schedule. Uchiha Obito said proudly. Pain lowered his head already in a mess. Pen, you have to believe Senior Lu, he definitely left for something. Conan said anxiously. After all, Lumu used ninjutsu several times. Conan was all there. Every time ninjutsu is used, it has the power to destroy the world. There is no reason to be afraid of Afe. Even if it is the real Uchiha Madara, there is no reason to be afraid. Conan, please stop being stubborn. If Lumu was really not afraid of me, why did he run away a second before the battle? Stop deceiving yourself, Uchiha Obito said coldly. There was a hint of coldness in his eyes. No matter what, those who are heavily brainwashed like Conan Scorpion Didera will definitely be cleared away when the time comes. Otherwise, it will be a disaster sooner or later if you keep it. Seeing that Pain didn't respond for a long time, Uchiha Obito smiled disapprovingly, and then turned to look at the other members of the Akatsuki organization. Are you willing to be my subordinates? Are you willing to be Uchiha Madara's teammates? Contribute to this village and the entire ninja world. For a moment, all the ninjas had confused expressions on their faces. Now all it takes is one person to stand up, and then everyone's persistence will collapse. Then countless people will join Uchiha Obito's camp, and even Pain can't stop him. And within the Akatsuki organization, there is Uchiha Obito's internal support. Absolutely. Ju also understood what he should do now. A smirk appeared on his face, and then he slowly raised his hand. Just when Ju was about to speak, suddenly someone shouted loudly. Look what's in the sky. Everyone looked in the direction of the fingers and saw that there were 2 giant pillars connecting heaven and earth. One on the left and one on the right. Below these 2 pillars, it looks like a foot. And he was wearing sandals specially designed for ninjas. 5 toes like hills were exposed. Well, let's call you Uchiha Madara. I'm standing here and you say I ran away. Isn't that a little rude? Lumu's voice sounded like thunder. Every character lit up, and everyone was shocked to the point of numbness. Uchiha Obito looked around in horror. Since opening Sharingan, Uchiha Obito's insight has been greatly improved. Even the most hidden enemy can still find clues. Especially after having Kamui, you can only play tricks on others, so how can others play tricks on you? But at this time, Lumu was obviously nearby, but he couldn't find him at all. This fear of the unknown. Uchiha Obito panicked instantly. Come out. Uchiha Obito looked for Lumu anxiously. My heart was lifted even more. Be ready to activate Kamui at any time to avoid Lumu's attack. I'm right here. Lumu's voice sounded again, and the sound was like thunder that once again stimulated everyone's hearts. But Lumu was still nowhere to be found. Look up. After receiving Lumu's prompt, everyone raised their heads. I saw two pillars passing directly through the clouds. No one knew what was above the clouds. Is Senior Lu on the pillar? No, I feel like Senior Lu is above the clouds. Don't you care where these two pillars came from? They were clearly not there just now. At this time, 5 huge pillars passed through the clouds. The originally dense clouds were instantly blown away as 5 giant pillars flew by. No one has reacted yet. Suddenly a huge wind came. Without preparation, several people were blown to the ground. The scene became chaotic for a while. After standing firm, everyone looked up. Those 5 huge pillars. It turned out to be an extremely huge hand. A palm is as big as a mountain, and if you take it with one palm, the whole village will be destroyed. Even the palm of my hand is so big. So how big will the whole person be? No one who can become a Jonin or above is a fool. With a simple estimate, you can know how big your whole body is. But no one dared to think further. If there really is such a huge giant, then a gentle blow is like a hurricane of more than 10 levels. Taking 2 random steps will be an earthquake that can destroy a country. No need for any ninjutsu at all. It can destroy the entire ninja world. Uchiha Obito looked up with a pale face. Even if the clouds were dispersed, the giant's face could still not be seen. In my heart, I kept praying. I pray that this person is not Lumu. At this moment, 2 giant pillars reaching the sky bent down. 2 huge palms were also supported on the ground. The next second the sky turned completely dark. A huge black shadow kept approaching in the sky, as if a huge celestial body was about to collide with the ninja world. There is a feeling that the sky is falling. The pressure left everyone breathless. At this moment, a huge meteorite broke through the sky and appeared in front of everyone. Wait until the clouds completely disappear. Surprisingly, it was discovered that this meteorite seemed to be a head. A huge head, 2 huge eyes, like 2 bright moons. The strange thing is that these 2 moons are blood red, and there are 3 huge white magatama on each moon. With huge nostrils, every breath affects everyone on the ground. With one call, it was like a hurricane of more than 10 categories. Countless trees were uprooted. With one breath, a tornado instantly formed on the ground, sweeping everything on the ground. This is the master, Conan shouted excitedly. Conan, who sleeps with Lumu's pillow every day, naturally knows Lumu's details very well. So even if you can't see the meteorite in front of you, you can still recognize Lumu instantly. Hear Conan's cry. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. After everyone observed it carefully, everyone showed excited expressions. It's really Senior Lu. Is this the strength of Senior Lu? I didn't believe you before when you said that Senior Lu was a god. Now who dares to say that Senior Lu is not a god? Look at me, immune to death. Uchiha Obito's legs softened and he sat down on the ground. Even with a mask on. But he couldn't hide the helplessness on his face. The trembling limbs express Uchiha Obito's inner despair. No matter how powerful a ninja the enemy is, Uchiha Obito has the confidence to fight. Even Pain and Uchiha Obito, who possesses the Samsara Eye, have the confidence to protect themselves. But this assumes that the other party is a ninja. Not a monster like Lumu. This is not a stepping stone for Lumu. It is an insurmountable chasm. Are you still going to fight me? Uchiha Obito roared in his heart. You breathe so loudly that you can blow people away with just 2 words, and the spittle flying out can form a lake. What else is there to fight for? Now I am just an ant. Even if you use any ninjutsu, you can't hurt the man in front of you at all. Senior Lu, actually this is all a misunderstanding. I just want to test the loyalty of the people within the Akatsuki organization. After my test, everyone is very loyal and absolutely trustworthy. Uchiha Obito explained quickly. After saying this, I couldn't help but praise my wit. An absolutely perfect excuse. Yes, this is what Afe and I agreed to do, to test everyone's loyalty. I am very satisfied with everyone's performance, and it also proves that everyone is qualified to join the Akatsuki organization. After hearing Luemu's words, Uchiha Obito couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. This excuse is completely made up. Why did Lumu admit it immediately? Could it be that Lumu is still afraid of me? But Uchiha Obito didn't dare to continue causing trouble. Before finding out the authenticity of Luemu's strength, Uchiha Obito would never dare to make any move again. Just when Uchiha Obito was thinking, Lumu spoke again. Although everyone sticks to their true intentions, there are still a few comrades who choose to rebel in the end. Such people are not qualified to stay in the Akatsuki organization. In order to ensure that Afei's secret is not leaked, you will deal with him personally. Uchiha Obito was stunned for a moment. There was a puzzled expression on his face. It seems that in the end, the rebel did not appear. But Uchiha Obito suddenly reacted when he thought about it. Indeed, no one spoke. But one person has already raised his hand to show his support, and that is Ju. For a moment, Uchiha Obito's face darkened. How can I let myself go? He was completely prepared to let himself fight against Ju Woli. Uchiha Obito wanted to say no. But when he saw Luemu's huge body, he couldn't muster the idea of resistance. After all, when fighting against others, no matter how great the disparity in strength is, there is still a slight chance of winning. But if you fight with gods, then the chance of winning is infinitely close to zero. Then Uchiha Obito stared at Zetsu, and then walked towards Zetsu step by step. Ju doesn't take it seriously. But after feeling the murderous aura on Uchiha Obito's body, his face instantly became serious. Hey, Fei, you don't really want to kill me, do you? We're good friends. Ju explained anxiously, but Uchiha Obito had no intention of stopping, and instead accelerated his pace. For a moment, Ju was frightened into a cold sweat. The abilities of the two are actually about the same, and their mastery of spatial abilities is also similar. But absolute space ability, it is mostly used for investigation. Uchiha Obito's spatial ability can be actually used in battle. So as long as two people fight, then the one who loses in the end will definitely be Ju. Asshole, you are an intern, what on earth do you want to do? Ju became nervous. It doesn't matter if he dies. If he can't save his mother, he won't die in peace. Don't you have good ears? Of course I will kill you. Uchiha Obito said as he approached Zetsu step by step. Seeing that there were still a few seconds left, he suddenly accelerated and came to Zetsu's side. Then he pulled Zetsu directly into the Kamui space. Uchiha Obito finally breathed a sigh of relief, threw away the chrysanthemum mask on his face, and sat down on the chair. How did you collect intelligence? Is this the ordinary Lumu you said? My feet are still shaking just because of one glance. Uchiha Obito said angrily. After all, this wrong information almost cost him his life. And the culprit is Ju. If Lumu had not been allowed to go to the Kingdom of Water, Goju Yagura would not have come to the Akatsuki organization. He will not be challenged by Goju Yagura. In the end, his identity had to be revealed. Okay, no matter what, we are all safe. The Akatsuki organization must not come into contact with it in the future, and even if it does come into contact, it must not be against Luemu's ideas. Uchiha Obito said weakly. Anyway, it's definitely safe to hide in Kamui's space. But just when Uchiha Obito relaxed his guard, a huge pillar appeared in front of him. If you look carefully at the pillar, it's Luemu's finger. At this time, the pillar was withdrawn, and a huge hole opened in the void. And behind the hole, a huge eye was looking inside. Afe, why don't you kill Ju? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.